Which
Go
documents go with your talk?
Him hitting me and then
Can I
I'm
get
getting
a
on the
copy
other
of
side.
Yeah, are you on the WhatsApp group there? Or
Maybe.
the sovereignliving group?
Yeah, I'm on the YouTube channel. I don't know about WhatsApp. He did add me to the. I think you added all of us to the WhatsApp or not?
Well, somebody is on the WhatsApp. Is a 206 phone number.
No, that must be her.
Okay. Well, if you do get on the WhatsApp, I sent you an invitation. You still got to click on the link and join.
Let me go check. I'll check my WhatsApp.
But I sent an
Because I rarely use it. I signed up for it years ago, and I haven't logged into it in
right.
months.
Well, you got to get in the group. You got to go in the group.
I'll go do that.
But and also there's like 5 or 6 groups, but you have to get Vital to add you to those other groups. I don't have administrator permissions on those other groups, and Vital does.
Well, that one's good enough.
What's that? That one is great. Yeah, and we got it all too. Matter of fact, I'm downloading it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you need to edit some of that one to make it a bit shorter. Or
You know, I probably won't. I mean, the questions, the questions are the best part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because those are real live questions. They're questions that a lot of people out there probably have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the questions are the best part. A lot of times we don't think of that kind of stuff, and that's why I record these events, because the questions, the interactions that everybody has, I mean, that's stuff that's live, and those are things that people out there probably have comments or questions about, you know?
Is this basically being on webcam now, or is this?
It's on, I'm sharing it with some, there's one lady actually that's online.
Okay. Oh, that was late yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, this is, oh, look at this. Did you see the sign of, what was that? Speaking of SSN, I just forwarded you 2 emails regarding processing American national passport applications for my son and my daughter.
Is this on right now, or? Well,
Okay, I'll answer that here
it's
tonight.
It's on.
I got your question there, Victoria. Anyways, we're going to get started here pretty quick. Anyways, yeah, Victoria's online and she's listening, and then she's seeing that, so and she's listening to the conversation.
Let me ask you something. There's a major bank, I won't mention the name. If you call in to check, you can check your any checks or any with debit card or credit card, the transactions, any checks you made out. My question is, every time they ask for your security at the left, they want the name of your card, of course, we understand, and they want your social security number, even though it's for trust or something, because you are the one who is. Well, they ask it all the time. Does that mean that every time you give that out or type it in, that you're basically well, they let the last 4 digits. They want the last 4 digits. So you're literally contracting then each time.
Might be, I don't know. I mean, they're using it for identification.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. Don't you just love it? They use, well, it's the Patriot Act. Yeah. Don't you love the names they come up with? It's anything but patriotic, the whole thing. All right?
Yeah,
When
you
it came
got
out.
that right.
It came out because of what? Well, because of this guy, Osama bin Laden, whatever. Yeah, happened to be a CIA man.
Yeah.
He died of kidney failure, and he didn't. I mean, he wasn't like no. He was orchestrating everything from a cave with his laptop,
Right.
in Afghanistan. Give me a break. And yet, right, because you had the Mossad is involved, CIA.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he was a CIA asset.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah, he was definitely, because his real name was something else. It was, because they were filming the whole thing over in New Jersey, in Newark. There was little guys that belonged to, they supposedly had Israelis, they had a moving company in Brooklyn or whatever, fake name, whatever it was. And they were up there, and it was, they taped the whole thing. And they were, celebrating when they came down, the towers came down. It's like, and this, I've heard of some people that were normally there all the time, and for some reason they got something happened, they couldn't make it there in time, and sure enough. And then there's one guy, poor guy from Connecticut. He's never there, right? He was there that day, and he perished. It's like it's just a matter of.
Well,
And who was in charge of security there? I think
George Bush.
no,
George
Marvin.
Bush's brother.
Marvin Bush, right? Marvin Bush, yeah. It's unbelievable.
So this one that I was thinking we'd go through next would be protected person under international law.
Yeah.
You have to realize that
We close this down here.
one thing that Nelson's been dealing with, and we were talking about yesterday, when we were at that. Yeah, it'd be a good idea to close those so that it makes it easier to see this.
I got the window just to get from there, but.
The Nelson's, we were talking about this last night with Nelson when we went to that diner
Okay.
about international law,
Oh, yeah.
and he was pointing out, like he actually sent me a copy of the New Jersey Constitution, and he got certified copy. See, in Texas, if you ask for a certified copy of the Texas Constitution, you'll get the 1836 Constitution. You won't get the current one or anywhere near the current one because those are not valid constitutions. And I'm getting ready to file a criminal complaint against a prosecutor in Texas, and because of this internationally protected person, and they're bar members, and I think I can get her removed, get her fired, maybe get her in jail, because bar members are required to know the law, and so they can't claim stupidity or ignorance or anything like cops can claim plausible deniability, and but bar members can't, and so I'm hoping that I can get her some free room and board in Crowbar Hotel. Anyways, is Tara coming back?
I don't know actually. I'm not sure if she went up to see if Gabby was okay.
Yeah, so, okay, well, I was waiting for Marie,
You
but
could
is,
start. You could, yeah.
sorry?
You could start.
Okay,
Yeah, she said.
okay. So I'm not a liar? Well, I meant a lawyer. No, I meant a liar.
Is that recording, Glenn? Sorry.
Yeah, it's, actually, it's supposed, that's recording, but right now we're not, some reason,
I don't remember. Is it flashing recording, steady light, not? I can't remember which.
it's, that's recording, I can tell you, but I'm trying to get this thing to move.
You'd have to escape out of the page to make it smaller. and then it allows you to move it. If you're full page right now, it won't let you.
Well, it's, let's try that. You're right. I had to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Because I have it on here. What I'm seeing here is different than what you guys are seeing. Anyways. So I'm not a liar. Well, I meant a lawyer. No, I meant a liar. You should never take my word for anything. If you should always do your own research. I provided references to aid you in your research, but I don't know everything, and I'm open to any ideas. There's 4 types of people you'll meet in your life. There's the people who try to wake up the slaves. There's the slave masters. There's the people who have no idea they're slaves. And there's the people who like being slaves. Which one are you? Do you really know for sure? Are you who you think you are? And think about it. If you get paid in Federal Reserve notes, then they're not paying you. So then technically you're a slave. You think about it, you know? Because you're not getting paid anything. Anyway, so if you can see through the illusion, then you are the solution. If the people don't know their basic rights and freedoms, how can they know when or if their rights and freedoms are being infringed? Never forget the men who started this country were marijuana-growing, whiskey-drinking, tax-evading rebels who left their beds at night to shoot at the cops. All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. I don't trust the military industrial complex. I don't trust the mainstream media. I don't trust the bankster criminal cabal that owns the government, owns the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex, owns the military industrial complex, and owns the mainstream media. If you call me a conspiracy theorist, then I don't trust you.
We're not switching. It's not switching now on the image.
So what happened?
You have to get focus back on that page.
Okay. So I don't trust the government. I don't trust the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. I don't trust the military industrial complex. I don't trust the mainstream media. I don't trust the bankster criminal cabal that owns the government, owns the medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex, owns the military industrial complex. You notice that industrial there is spelled wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, owns the mainstream media. If you call me a conspiracy theorist, then I don't trust you. Government's not reason, it's not eloquence, it is force. Like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. So, anyways, under Title 18, United States Code, Section 11, a foreign government is defined as any government, faction, or body of insurgents within a country with which the United States is at peace, irrespective of recognition by the United States. Well, you know, that could be anybody, you know, really, a foreign government. And I'm involved with the Republic of Texas, and that would certainly, Republic of Texas would qualify for this, and actually it'll qualify under some other definitions. We're going to go through, like it talks about the Section 112 and Section 878, 970, 1160, and 1201. We're going to go look at those because so that we know how they fit into this. But the term foreign government, as used in this title, except those sections. Okay, so that's important, although irrespective of recognition by the United States is consistent throughout all of those sections.
That could be militia and the like too.
Exactly.
Insurgents.
Could be anything. Yeah, yeah. Could be a juror assembly, right? And especially when you think of the fact that and this is something that me and Nelson have been going over, how the state of New Jersey is territorial, and there's another entity called New Jersey State. That's the land of New Jersey with the people as the government. You see what I'm saying? So, which one are you in?
Yeah.
And the evidence of the New Jersey state on one of those, matter of fact, maybe I'll find it. I don't know, does anybody have, because there was a land patent that I got when I was in Arizona, and it's certified land patent I got from the Bureau of Land Management. But the thing is that in the certification, it says Bureau of Land Management, Arizona State Office. And I can pull that up if you guys want to see it.
Okay, it's your government then.
Huh?
It's your government.
No, it doesn't say de jure government.
No, but that is, isn't it? Arizona State?
Arizona State is the landmass of Arizona with the people as the government.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
So anyways, includes any government, faction, or body of insurgents within a country with which the United States is at peace, irrespective of recognition by the United States. Now this is 1201, kidnapping. So we're going to go through all of those. We're going to look at 112, 878, 970, 1116, and 1201. So 1201 talks about kidnapping. And the important thing is if you go down to the bottom there, for the person of a foreign official, an internationally protected person, or official guest, as those terms are defined in 1116B of this title. And you'll find out that it always refers to 1116B. So we're going to go through that too. And actually, yeah, this does talk about 1116. So then this is 878, threats and extortion against foreign officials, official guests, or internationally protected persons. And I think that most people could fall into the category of an internationally protected person. Matter of fact, everybody could. When you understand that we the people are the government, then we could certainly fall under the internationally protected person category. The foreign official, I know I can qualify for that because I'm a senator with the Republic of Texas. So I would definitely qualify for being a foreign official. And that's why I got that Republic of Texas ID card. I don't know how many of you have seen this? Does anybody want to take a look at it? I'll put it on the table there. But this is something the Republic of Texas gives me. And these are actually free. They give it to me free. Normally, to get that card or a card similar to that from the Republic of Texas, you got to buy it. You got to pay for it. It's one silver eagle, actually, or one ounce of silver.
Okay.
And so, anyways, so this one refers to 878 refers to this 1116A. And then there's 970, which is protection of property occupied by foreign governments. It refers to 116B as well. And then 112 is actually a felony, a list of felonies that people can get involved in when dealing with internationally protected persons. Whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, or imprisons, or offers violence to a foreign official, official guest, or internationally protected person, or makes any other violent attack upon the person or liberty of such person, or, if likely to endanger his person or liberty, makes a violent attack upon his official premises. Private accommodation could be anything. Could be a hotel room, could be where you live, right? That's your private accommodation. Could be your means of transport. Okay, that's your car. Or attempts to commit any of the foregoing shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Whoever in the commission of any such act uses a deadly or dangerous weapon or inflicts bodily injury shall be fined under this title not more than 10 years or both. And this one's got a lot of stuff. It's kind of small, but this is 112B, which continues on with multiple felonies against people who are internationally protected persons, or official foreign officials. It doesn't actually talk about internationally protected person in this statute, except to say that you have to go to 1116B for the definition. Whoever willfully intimidates, coerces, threatens, or harasses a foreign official or an official guest, or obstructs a foreign official in the performance of his duties, attempts to intimidate, coerce, threaten, harass a foreign official or a foreign official guest, or obstruct a foreign official in the performance of his duties within the United States or within 100 feet of any building or premises in whole or in part owned, used, or occupied for official business or for diplomatic, consular, or residential purposes by, right? So then residential purposes, right? That'd be, that could be any house or hotel or anything. A foreign government, including use of a mission as an international organization, a foreign official, and an official guest. An official guest, none of us would qualify as that, because that's actually, you know, there's
I could be your official guest.
sorry?
I could be your official guest.
You could
You're
be.
the official, I'm the guest.
That's true. Being as I'm in the Republic of Texas. Another thing, there was someone that told me that he knew, and I haven't tried this. I've been thinking about trying it, but I haven't. It's kind of gutsy. But he said that what they do, what he heard of people that do, is they will get an itinerary. Say I'm going to fly to Moscow next summer, right? I'll send either a fax or a letter. You can send it by snail mail for a letter, or you can fax it to the Russian embassy. And you say, I am planning on flying to Moscow on this day. I'll be visiting friends in Russia until this day, and then I'll be leaving Russia on this day, leaving the country. And please send me a letter acknowledging that. That's all you do is send them, please send me a letter acknowledging that. And so then they send you the letter, they'll send you the letter. and so then what happens is when you go to the airport to customs, you don't show them a passport, you show them the letter. Because now you're an official guest. You're there, that's a letter of invitation is what it is. So they're inviting you to
It's a
come.
letter of acknowledgement.
Well, I've heard, it's what this guy said, is it's actually a letter of invitation. You're being invited to come to this foreign country, and
I think you still need a stamp in your passport.
well, they said that you didn't even need a passport. You show them a letter.
This is in Russian, though, of course. It's going to come to you in Russian, probably.
Actually, I'm guessing it probably comes in English, or maybe it comes in both. I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
Well, that's true.
But because you're sending it in English, right?
Right.
And you're traveling from. Now the person at the passport office, you know, it's going to have, you know, it's going to be on Russian letterhead. It's going to be on, you know. So, you know, I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing something like that.
I've actually heard that is the case. If you, and actually for people who are registered, let's say, as diplomats,
Right.
in their status, they've made it known that people can and should operate in this way. They shouldn't be using passports.
Right.
Passports in military.
Right.
They should be making requests with the country of destination, making arrangements with them to say, I will be travelling peaceably to your land, your country. I'll be visiting whatever for however. I would like
A letter of acknowledgement.
a letter of acknowledgement and acceptance of my visit to your country, plus safe passage to and from.
Right.
And then you also contact the State Department or the visa office of the country of your current location and explaining that I will be under a letter of acceptance to travel to another country,
Right.
and I will expect to be able to return to my current country without the use of a passport. Can I also have a letter? Of
Please send me a letter
acknowledgement,
acknowledging it.
an acceptance that that will be allowed.
Hmm.
So then you have a letter at each end, no passport required.
Actually, that's actually pretty smart. And then you probably, if you're gonna stop in London overnight, you know, or something like that, or on the way, having to go through customs, you probably wanna do that as well. And that's why you'd wanna, you know, schedule this stuff like 6 months or a year in
Yeah.
advance, so you'd have lots of time to get all this stuff together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think, I've heard of that. And that's interesting that you're confirming it, and so that gives it certainly a lot more,
Yeah,
credibility.
that adds a lot of credibility if we go to the airport. And here, here's a flight to Moscow. You got a letter from the, you know, the embassy or from.
it'd be from a Russian embassy.
Yeah, it's usually,
Usually, like in
An American
here,
embassy in Russia. yeah.
here you'd contact the Russian embassy in America. So
Okay.
there's probably, you know, I've heard there'd be one in Washington D.C. or New York.
Mhm.
You know, one of those two for sure, maybe both.
Right.
There probably could be one in like Houston, maybe in
Okay.
Chicago. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's more than one, just about
Right.
guaranteed, especially for the Russian embassy.
but apparently there isn't one in Florida. What's that?
Yeah.
The big
Miami?
Miami. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Miami, right.
There isn't one in there.
There is or isn't?
Isn't.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, the only reason I know that is because it was used as
It's not
part
the
of
most popular port of entry for Russians.
No, but it is one of the most popular port of entry for Southern America.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring it up is it's a funny more than anything because it was used for the Russiagate document,
Oh.
and there was supposedly somebody who was meeting up with somebody from the Russian embassy in Miami, and they called bullshit on it because there isn't a Russian embassy in Miami. Plus all the other bits that were obviously wrong in that document.
Right.
The reason for my travel to Russia is I want to meet with Edward Snow. Snowden.
Yeah. You might not be able to get back into USA for that one, yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? They might ask you some questions when you come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is 116B. This is the one that it talks about where the definition is going to be. The definitions. These are the definitions they're going to use.
That says 1016.
Well, I should say 1116B. Yeah,
1116,
it's
okay.
It's 1116B. Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah, it's referred to in all of these other codes, right?
Okay.
It's in this one. Actually, this just says 1116, but in this one it says 1116B, and this one says 1116B.
And
This one it says 1116B. Sorry.
I think I saw 1116A somewhere.
Oh, that. Yeah. That's true. That's interesting. 1116A is just a. And see, I didn't even put it in here because it was the actual. It was crimes, and I was just interested in the B portion. But I can quickly search for that. Murder, manslaughter of foreign officials. So A is whoever kidnaps, kills, kidnaps a foreign official, official guest, or internationally protected person. Right? So, although Victoria's not looking at that, but at any rate. So, anyways, so this is B, this is the definitions. The foreign government means a government of a foreign country irrespective of recognition by the United States. So that I'm actually going to show how that could be the Republic of Texas or the New Jersey state, right? Because again, it's foreign to the United States as the District of Columbia, and I'll show you how that works too. So you got to consider anytime they're talking about United States, they're talking about the District of Columbia, and that's why it's called, like United States Code was originally called District of Columbia Code. Now it's called United States Code, but it was originally called District of Columbia Code, and I talk about it in my videos as well. Anyways, foreign official means the chief of state or the political equivalent, president, vice president, prime minister, ambassador. Okay, now I'm currently a senator, so I'm actually, but I was a charge the affairs. I've got a commission as a charge the affairs for the Republic of Texas. That makes me equivalent. That's an ambassador, or certainly a.
Or you have other officer of cabinet rank or above.
Right. And then it continues on, or any person who has previously served in such capacity. So my commission as a charge d'affaires is expired, but so I would definitely fall into that category. Now, internationally protected person includes chief of state, political equivalent, all the stuff that we just been talking about. And then B, any other representative, officer, employee, or agent of the United States government and also of a foreign government. And so that's where, a General Assembly or as a member of the sovereignty. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then your representative, officer, or agent. So you wouldn't be an agent or employee. You would be equivalent to chief of state as a foreign sovereign, right? Because it actually talks about that in my presentation on citizenship. Looking for it right now. There's a let me here we go. Chisholm versus Georgia. Let's I'll just slip this over here. Sovereignty is the right to govern. A nation or state sovereign is the person or persons in whom that resides. So that's Chisholm versus Georgia. Now,
so in America's case, that is referring solely to the individual sovereigns of each state who, because of the way the country was founded,
right,
are sovereign.
people.
The people.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's the only country in the world where you could say that too.
right now, yeah.
Right, well, yeah. Till
Although-
they change it.
Although in Canada, there's court cases that talk about it. Any of the common law countries, it talks about that. Canada, I've seen them in Canada and Australia and here, basically. Those are the only ones that I had access to the case law and stuff. But there's cases that talk about it. There's one from Toronto that says something like the sovereign people, through the representatives, created a court and a board and the municipal council and defined the rights and duties of each. And then there's very similar cases in Australia as well. So it's because of common law. And actually, I go through that in
Well, we
my-
have to be careful with some of those because they have the monarchy. And the sovereign, the monarchy is the sovereign. And the parliament is the representation of the monarchy, not the people.
Well, actually, the Governor General of Canada, it used to say on the Governor General's website that the Governor General is the de facto ruler of Canada, right? Which means not in truth, in fact. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then they're de facto to who?
Yeah, I think the point was, though, that they had the 1933 Westminster Act.
Statute of Westminster, that's right.
Yeah, which I think it gave Canada the right, and Australia as well, and some of the other Commonwealth countries, the right to govern themselves. And in essence, what happened, they never took on the mantle, so they don't exist as countries. So
Right.
the Governor General is de facto still governing the country,
Right.
because the country is not
the
governing
people
itself.
yeah,
The
that's right.
people didn't take on the mantle.
That's right. But that doesn't mean they can't at any point. Matter of fact,
That's the reason there's a movie out there.
yeah, no, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Anyways, anyways, this could fit anyone who like jural assemblies. This could fit jural assemblies. I mean, you're basically going to have to articulate the argument. I know in Texas, the Republic of Texas would definitely fall in this category, and I'm going to be using this for the basis of a criminal complaint. So we'll see what happens with that. Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory and other property belonging to the United States. So it's saying that territories are property of the United States. And if you're subject to rules and regulations, then you are property of the United States. That means all corporations. That means all that. You know, any corporation that's subject to rules and regulations. And then this is consistent in other countries. This is the Canadian Ownership and Control Determination Act in Section 2. It says that owned means subject to the regulations. And then in the Section 3 of the Canada Government Corporation Operation Act of Canada, I don't know why they come up with some of these names and some of these acts, but anyways, every corporation, for all its purposes, is an agency of Her Majesty and right of Canada. So, it means an agent of the government. That's why they collect taxes. And the same thing's true here, except they're agent of Congress. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, to exercise exclusive legislative jurisdiction. Over such district not exceeding 10 miles square. See, the Founding Fathers, I mean, it's like they knew all the tricks. Because they went and laid protections, bills of attainder. You know, all of these acts are actually bills of attainder because there's no such thing as a judge. And a bill of attainder is a non-judicial proceeding, you know. And the Founding Fathers, I mean, they just knew, they knew all the tricks that they were going to get pulled on us. Anyways, okay, to exercise exclusive legislative jurisdiction in all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 miles square as made by a session of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature. So it's got to be purchased by the consent of the state legislature. It's got to be ceded. That land has to be ceded to the federal government. And there's a procedure they have to follow for that. So we were looking in Texas, and there's no land in Texas that's been ceded to the federal government, believe it or not. And they got some huge military bases there, Fort Hood, and the land is not ceded to the federal government. Anyways, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings.
I'm guessing they must be paying rent to Texas then. That's the case.
Well, I'm guessing they must be paying rent to somebody. I'm not sure. Like even the courthouses, you know, they could own the courthouses. They could own Fort Hood, but there's no cessions in Texas where Texas actually ceded the land to them, because that has to be an act of the legislature. You know what I mean? And there isn't any. Now, because of the Uniform Commercial Code, they effectively have control of it anyways, but that's under international law, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Anyways, this is U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. In the sense of public international law, the several states of the Union are neither foreign to the United States, nor are they foreign to each other. But such is not the case in the field of private international law. And private international law is contract law under international law. That's why it's called private, because it's contracts under international law. And there's, whenever the Uniform Code, Commercial Code, which is private international law,
It's not flicking again.
sure isn't. Where are we? Okay, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay. In the sense of public international law, the several states of the Union are neither foreign to the United States, nor are they foreign to each other. But such is not the case in the field of private international law. And private international law, if you think about it, is contract law under international law. And that's what UNIDROIT is. The Uniform Commercial Code. Whenever the Uniform Commercial Code creates a presumption with respect to a fact, or provides that a fact is presumed, the trier of fact must find the existence of the fact unless and until evidence is introduced that supports a finding of its non-existence. So what they're doing, all of these courts operate under the Uniform Commercial Code. They're operating under international law. All bar members are bar members under the Bar Treaty of 1947, and so that's what's going on. They're putting you into international law. That's what they're doing. This is National Mutual Insurance Company, the District of Columbia versus Tidewater Transfer Company, 1948. We therefore decline to overrule the opinion of Chief Justice Marshall. We hold that the District of Columbia is not a state within Article 3 of the Constitution. Article 3 is the judiciary. In other words, cases between citizens of the district and those of the states are not included in the catalog of controversies over which Congress could give jurisdiction to the federal courts by virtue of Article 3. In other words, Congress has exclusive legislative jurisdiction over citizens of Washington District of Columbia, and through their plenary power, that's basically dictatorship, through their plenary power nationally covers those citizens, even when in one of the several states, as though the district expands for the purpose of regulating its citizens wherever they go throughout the states of the Union.
And beyond.
Sorry?
And beyond.
And beyond, that's right. Yeah, that's right. As you were saying yesterday, the Kavanaugh hearings.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
International law rule. Adopted for areas under federal legislative jurisdiction, federalizes state civil law, including common law. This rule serves to federalize not only the statutory, but the common law of the state. state and federal venue discuss the civil laws effective in an area of exclusive federal jurisdiction or federal law, notwithstanding their derivation from state laws, and a cause arising under such laws may be brought in or removed to federal district court depending on whether you're talking about the judicial code or whatever. Anyways, this is taken from jurisdiction over federal areas within the states, report of the Interdepartmental Committee for the Study of Jurisdiction over Federal Areas within the states, Part 2, a text of the law of legislative jurisdiction, submitted to the Attorney General and transmitted to the President June 1957, and it's extracted from pages 158 to 165. So, again, this is the international law rule, so all under, remember we said that under private international law, that they are foreign to each other, and here's the international law rule where they're talking about it. So the forced loans of 1862 and 1863 in the form of legal tender notes. So again, think about it. The Gold Reserve Act says that Federal Reserve notes are meant for internal use of the government only, and that means District of Columbia. Forced loans of 1862 and 1863 in the form of legal tender notes were vital forces in the struggle for national supremacy. They formed a part of the public debt of the United States, but again, that only applies in the District of Columbia and the territories. So there's a territory called the State of New Jersey, and then there is a sovereign state called New Jersey State. Article 6, Clause 2, U.S. Constitution. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, which there's a bunch of them that aren't. So, as a matter of fact, what they say, and I think there's some validity to this, what they say is that the southern states walked out of Congress in 1861, and Congress ceased to have a quorum. Lincoln ordered them under executive authority to convene, and they've been operating under that executive authority ever since. And so we haven't had a lawful Congress, and so therefore they can't possibly be passing any lawful legislation. So it's everything Congress is doing is for DC and the territories, as the government for the District of Columbia and the territories. They don't have authority, but again, there's the state of New Jersey that's a territory. That's how they're getting their jurisdiction. It's all international law. So if you're going to be forced into international law, then this is one of the remedies. I'm a protected person under international law. So this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and the treaties made, which shall be made under authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. That's why also there's a lot of things that they don't do that are not treaties, or that they do that are not treaties. Like, for example, the North American Free Trade Agreement. Okay, that's not a treaty, so it's not the law of the land. And so there's a lot of stuff that they do that's not a treaty. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby anything in the Constitution and laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So the state of New Jersey, you could use that as argument saying that it's unconstitutional for you to be talking to me because Article 6, Clause 2 says the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So I'm in New Jersey State. So what are you doing talking to me for? You know what I mean? This is Article 9, an amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage other rights retained by the people. So this is like a catch-all. This is all of our common law rights that are basically brought into the Constitution. Our rights are unlimited. Every citizen and freeman is endowed with certain rights and privileges to enjoy which no written law or statute is required. Right? That's in New Jersey State. That's in Arizona State. That's in New York State. We don't need statutes. Okay? These are fundamental or natural rights recognized among all free people. As a general rule, men have the natural right to do anything which their inclinations may suggest, if it be not evil in itself, and no way is impairs the rights of others. Under the Libra Code, this is in the territory, place or district or country occupied by an enemy stands in consequence of the occupation. That's international law again. Libra Code is the law of war, and the law of war is international law. Martial law is the immediate and direct effect and consequence of occupation or conquest. The presence of a hostile army proclaims its martial law. Martial law does not cease during the hostile occupation except by special proclamation ordered by the commander-in-chief or by special mention in a treaty of peace. Well, I can tell you I've never seen, there's no special proclamations that have happened, and there's been no specific mention in any treaties of peace. Now in Arizona, where I happen to spend a lot of time, there is a treaty. It's called the Treaty of Hidalgo, but it doesn't say anything about ending the martial law. That was interesting because I was at an Oath Keepers event and I was telling them about that and they were quite interested. Martial law affects chiefly the police and the collection of public revenue. That's why IRS is so authoritarian and they just do whatever they want, right? Because it's martial law. And the police, same thing, right? Refers mainly to the support and efficiency of the Army, its safety and the safety of its operations. Have you noticed they want you to be safe? New World Slave Flag. There's 3 kinds of martial law. This is a case called Ex parte Milligan. U.S. Supreme Court, this is a Civil War era case. It's also cited in this non-ratification of the 14th Amendment by Judge H. Ella to the Utah Supreme Court in relation to the case Diet versus Turner. So there's 3 kinds of martial law. There's full martial law proper, martial law rule. Full martial law is when a declaration of martial law is issued. Troops are put on the streets. It's used only during wartime, used on a foreign country or when actually invaded by a foreign power or to put down an armed rebellion. Martial law proper is the law of the armed forces when a captain tells a private what to do and it's enforced by court-martials. And martial law rule is the law of necessity and emergency. Allows the domestic use of martial law powers. It's used during peace times, and it can continue for centuries during a military occupation or any kind of emergency. Why do you think that they're always saying, well, we're doing a war now, we're doing a war on human trafficking, or a war on drugs, or a war on pedophilia, or a war on this, or a war on that, war on terror. And anybody that's a prepper is a terrorist. You know?
You ever notice that the wars they fight, they're always getting more of that.
That's
Whatever
right.
it is, you know.
That's right.
And new people are being discovered on a daily basis.
Right.
So my book is available. Trump, a true American patriot or not. What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. At the center of this movement is a crucial conviction that a nation exists to serve its citizens. And for too long, a small group in our nation's capital, there we go. There's the book. And this is what I was reading. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has, well, it's kind of hard to read on here. It's kind of hard to read up there too, isn't it? Has reaped the rewards of government at the cost of its citizens. Washington flourished, but the insiders refused to share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but are allowed our jobs to leave and our factories to close. I just can't believe that's, I mean, this is complete election rigging. I think that Trump has to let Biden think that he's won before he moves in. and accuse them of stealing the election. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that's all cited by Trump in his 2016 inaugural address. Anyways, not anymore. And Trump, a true American patriot or not, Glenn Fern and Mike Blackwell reveal the depths of corruption, deceit, manipulation infesting our political system for hundreds of years, regardless of political affiliation. Read the hard evidence that exposes how our elected officials sold Americans into slavery. Understand the Founding Fathers' true intent when they formed our Republican form of government. Discover the influence of the Satanic Roman cult on our politicians and political system. Does Donald Trump want to transfer power back to we the people? In Trump, you will see the great battle that's upon us. That's true. Anyways, you can order the book on Amazon or from my website. The price is the same. My website is $30 plus $4 shipping. Now, if you order it from Amazon, it doesn't come autographed. On my website, it'll be autographed. If you want the book autographed, order the book from my website, but don't forget to let me know what you want the autograph to say. So do you want to know the origins of the deep state? Who's behind it? Do you want to know why it's called the Trump administration? That's ecclesiastical, believe it or not. It's an ecclesiastical office. You want to know how Trump came to be president? You want to know who owns Congress? You want to know why they're called law enforcement officers? It's because they're enforcing the martial law. You want to know how you have become a slave? You want to know what the root cause of the War of Independence was? You want to know why every president goes to visit the Pope on their first international trip? In reality, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Martial law is public law of necessity. Necessity calls it forth. Necessity justifies its exercise. And necessity measures the extent and degree to which it may be employed. That necessity is no formal, artificial, or legalistic concept, but an actual and factual one. It is the necessity of taking action to safeguard the state against insurrection, riot, disorder, or public calamity. What constitutes necessity is a question of fact in each case, and that's taken from a practical manual of martial law, and is cited in Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. And that's William Pitt in the House of Commons, 1873, or I should say 1783. The action of Congress in the passage of the first Legal Tender Act was placed distinctly upon the ground of the existing imperative need of government, and the Legal Tender Clause was urged to adopted as a war measure. Martial law, that's U.S. Supreme Court, Juilliard versus Greenman. Under the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, no state shall coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold or silver a tender in the payment of debts. And there's no lawful money in general circulation since 1965. Money means, under the Texas Business and Commerce Code, this is international law again. That's what they're doing. And that's why you see, like, so if you're accepting Federal Reserve notes here in New Jersey, then you're in the state of New Jersey, the corporation. If you're getting gold or silver coin, then you're in New Jersey State. So money means a medium of exchange currently authorized or adopted by a domestic or foreign government. Hi, Nelson. The term includes monetary unit of account established by an intergovernmental organization or by agreement between two or more countries. It's interesting, eh? The term includes a monetary unit of account. Well, that's basically what a Federal Reserve note is, right? It's just a monetary unit of account. It's settling the books, balancing the books. Party, as distinguished from a third party, means a person that has engaged in a transaction, made an agreement subject to this title. And so again, a transaction that's commercial. This is all international law, Texas Business and Commerce Code, or which is and this is one thing I was putting in my affidavit, that the Texas Business and Commerce Code is controlled by Unidroit, okay? So is the Uniform Commercial Code. I don't know what they have in New Jersey. Do they have a Uniform Commercial Code here?
I don't know.
Probably do. Or it'll be some New Jersey Commerce Code or something like that. You see what I'm saying? It's probably Uniform Commercial Code, but most states they call it the Uniform Commercial Code. And again, it's controlled and regulated by Unidroit, which is under the UN, and the Unidroit is located about 100 miles from or 100 yards from the Holy See in Rome. Matter of fact, they pay $160,000 a year. Is it $250? Each state pays to use because it's private law. So if they want to use it, they got to pay for it. Anyways, so governments descend to the level of a mere private corporation, take on the characteristics of a mere private citizen, where private corporate commercial paper and securities is concerned. For purposes of suits, such corporations and individuals are regarded as entities entirely separate from government. That's Clearfield Trust Company, and then governments lose their immunity and descend to the level of private corporations when involved in commercial activity, enforcing negotiable instruments as in fines, penalties, assessments, bails, taxes. The remedy lies in the hand of the state and its municipalities seeking the remedy. There is no such thing as a sovereign under international law. So, and that's why the sovereign citizen, you cannot, I shouldn't say that, but there's no such thing as there's certainly no such thing as a sovereign citizen. But you have to, you cannot make those kinds of arguments under international law. Only nations themselves, you know what I mean? So the government's supposed to shield us from this international law. And if we have to go into international law, then you got a protected person under international law. You see what I'm saying? They're dragging you in there. Congress claiming its martial law power to declare war, suppress insurrections, repel invasions, impose martial law on the United States, and never discontinued it. The result was an extension of military and municipal jurisdiction of Congress, but where's the evidence of this? Look at the 13th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act, the legal tender laws, the 14th Amendment, etc., etc., etc. And that's taken from the non-ratification of the 14th Amendment by Judge H. Ellett of the Utah Supreme Court in the case Diet versus Turner. Another cite from that same book is the 14th Amendment is an extension of national military powers presently used in a municipal character and enforced by municipal laws stretched far beyond their original limits, enforced in Article 1 tribunals. It's all administrative. The causes and necessities for taking up arms, 1775. Statutes have been passed extending the courts of admiralty and vice-admiralty far beyond their ancient limits for depriving us of the accustomed and estimable privilege of trial by jury in cases affecting both life and property, to supersede the course of common law and instead thereof to publish and order the use and exercise of the law martial. Okay, so again, that's admiralty and vice-admiralty. Those are the key words there. So they're talking about international law, right? Admiralty is international law. That's the law of the sea, international law. And so for altering fundamentally the form of government established by charter, we saw the misery to which such despotism, dictatorship, would reduce us. The refusal of King George III to allow the colonies to operate an honest money system, which freed the ordinary man from the clutches of the money manipulators, was probably the prime cause of the revolution. Article 4, Section 4, the United States shall guarantee every state in this union a republican form of government. That's why they had to set up the territorial New Jersey, so then the New Jersey state would still be here, and that's we the people. But in considering the question before us, it must be borne in mind that there is no law of nations standing between the people of the United States and their government, and interfering with their relation to each other. So again, the government's supposed to shield us from this law of nations. The powers of the government and the rights of the citizens under it are positive, practical regulations, plainly written down. The people of the United States have delegated to it certain enumerated powers and forbidden it to exercise others. The purpose of a republican form of government is to shield we the people from international law. There's two national governments exist, one to be maintained under the Constitution with all its restrictions, the other to be maintained by Congress outside and independent of that instrument. So what they're saying, this is Downs versus Bidwell, U.S. Supreme Court. Think about it. They're saying that one operates within the Constitution and the other one does not. And then you have the style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. You look on any Federal Reserve note and it'll say the United States of America. Article 1 of the Articles of Confederation, and then you look in the passport or on Air Force One or on Silver Eagles like I got in my wallet here. I always carry one of these because then technically I'm not a pauper. Because if all you have in your wallet is Federal Reserve notes, well, Federal Reserve is a bankrupt corporation. So, you know, you don't have anything, you have IOUs. So technically you're a pauper, unless you have silver, some real money. Anyways, let me just check something here real quick. Good. Passport defined. Oops. See, it stopped. Passport defined. A passport is a written document. Passports are military. And so, you know, doing that letter, I think, is a good answer, a good idea. That's something to consider. Of course, you know, with all this stuff going down, if Trump actually didn't win re-election, you know, you kind of want to leave the country, but then where would you go? I don't know if there's any place any better. It's all the New World Order crowd run every country, you know. You might go to Russia, maybe. You know, that was one place I was thinking about going, actually. But, you know,
They
you
all
have...
speak Russian.
Huh?
They all speak Russian.
They do. And then you have like people like Jeff Berwick that's down in Mexico at Puerto Vallarta. Anyways, he says that Mexico's great down there, you know, but again, Mexico's known for a lot of the corruption that goes on down there too. Now it might be relatively peaceful in the bigger cities, but and then those kinds of places it can be kind of expensive too, you know.
Yeah, so
The wealthy people live in.
Sorry?
Some of the wealthiest people in the world live in Mexico.
Yeah, no
You know,
doubt.
with Slim lives. Slim.
Huh?
Carlos is Slim. Name's Slim.
Never heard of them.
Ever heard of him?
No.
Billionaire.
There's a billionaire that has a big silver mine down there.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Jim Willey talks about talking to him, actually. And he's got a lot of sources where he's talking to people, getting information about what's going on. But but again, those kinds of people have lots of people working for them to protect them, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but you know, people like me or you going down to Mexico, we're going to be kind of like, you know, I don't speak Spanish either. You know, my Spanish is severely limited.
Right.
Now, my son, he speaks fluent Spanish, but that doesn't help me at all. Anyways, the passport is a written document given to a person or persons by a commander of belligerent forces, authorizing him or them to travel unmolested within the district occupied by his troops. Passports are issued by the State Department or similar office in other countries to diplomatic agents and others entering or traveling in foreign countries, which are of the same general character as those issued during war. The latter should, when practicable, have a photograph of the bearer attached. And this is taken from the Rules of Land Warfare, 1914 edition, Passports, Safe Conduct, Safeguards, Cartels, and Cartels, Chapter 7, Section 4, Article 276, page 100. and there's a Federal Reserve note, and if you notice the United States of America. This one isn't a Federal Reserve note, this is a silver certificate, but yeah, you're right, it's not a Federal Reserve note. Oops, there we go. At common law, only gold or silver are legal tender. If you want common law, it requires honest measures. That's why if you're in New Jersey State, you're using gold or silver coin. If you're in the state of New Jersey, and all of this stuff has been converted over to the federal region now, because they all follow federal regulations and stuff like that, and that's international law. There's a distinction between a debt discharged and one paid. A discharge, when discharged, the debt still exists, though divested of its character as a legal obligation during the operation of the discharge. And so discharge falls under international law again. So the key is really to understand when you're into international law and then knowing what to do in that kind of situation. And that's really what it comes down to, is knowing the difference between international law. I mean, all their statutes are international law. If they're talking to you, they're assuming you're under international law. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. Copies of these documents can be found on my website and linked under my recent videos. For a complete set of YouTube videos, private information shares, a DVD with over 50 searchable law dictionaries, actually there's more like about 100, and other books and forms, contact me privately at engineerwin@yahoo.com. Donations to support this work are appreciated. I prefer gold or silver coin. But as an extremely less desirable alternative, I can accept the military script, the fake money, the IOUs, the Federal Reserve notes, the PayPal gifts, the checks, the money orders. Send me an email for particulars. So Congress, under the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, says that Federal Reserve notes are meant for internal use of the government only, which means the District of Columbia and the territories. Matter of fact, I would even say the District of Columbia and the territories. As used in this act, the term United States means government of the United States. The term currency of the United States means currency which is legal tender in the United States and includes United States notes and Federal Reserve notes. This is found in the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, located at 48 Stat 337. Federal Reserve notes are commercial paper. Federal Reserve notes are a forced loan. They're IOUs. All commercial paper falls into two categories. It's either a promissory note or an IOU. A requirement for a promissory note is a promise to pay. Gold certificates and silver certificates are promissory notes. You can never pay a debt with a Federal Reserve note. That's why that Form 1020 works so well. That's why that document that I talked about, that I emailed you guys about money, works so well. Check out my other videos: Banks Are Thieves playlist, Roman Cult playlist, Bankrupt Corporate So-Called Governments, Bar Members 1 through 7, Do-It-Yourself How Not to Volunteer for the Selective Service in the Draft, Martial Laws Here, Do-It-Yourself No Income Tax, Do-It-Yourself Free Mail, Do-It-Yourself Kangaroo Courts 1 through 19, Canada Border Pigs playlist, Bar Members and their Satanic Connections playlist. And this is Libra Code, Article 37. This rule does not interfere with the right of the victorious invader to tax the people or their property, to levy forced loans, to billet soldiers, or to appropriate property, especially houses, lands, boats, or ships, and churches for temporary and military uses. So cryptocurrency is not a forced loan. Anything can be used as a medium of exchange as long as we agree to it. It's called barter. Gold and silver coin is exchanging one thing of value for something else of value. That's why you can I do a bill of exchange, is what I like to do. So then I, exchange my book for gold or silver coin or something like that. If I'm going to do something around the land titles, you notice that it's a bill of exchange. And My blog is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. My website is sovereigntyinternational.fyi. My email address is engineerwin@yahoo.com. Google's blocking my engineerwin@gmail.com. My YouTube profile, Sovereign Living. My Facebook community page, I deleted it due to censorship on the part of Facebook. My private group, Sovereignty International, is being deleted. I haven't been on Facebook forever, for a long time. Facebook is a bit of a has-been. It's just more censorship, so I just stay away from that place. Yahoo private group is called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. My Google private group is called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. The Yahoo group is being deleted next month. It's all sorts of stuff going down these days. Follow me on Twitter at Engineer Win. Follow me on Steemit at Sovereignty International. And I've got a library link there where you can subscribe on library. Some of these videos have already been, last week's videos got uploaded to the library. So if you want to see the last week's stuff, you can go there and watch it. These videos, some of these ones this weekend, might go to library. I haven't decided yet. There's going to be a bunch of them that are going to go to my exclusive videos, and they'll be available on there. For those who are in attendance here, if you want an exclusive subscription so you can watch those videos, I'll give you one. But you got to go and validate it and let me know. Remind me who you are when you're doing it so that I know who's doing it. Okay? And that way you can watch them over again. See if it's good to watch the stuff a second time because you always get stuff out of it the second time.
Right.
There's things that you missed the first time around, so it's good to watch it a second time. Anyways, I've got a Patreon on Sovereignty International on Patreon. I've also got a MeWe group, and that one I've also got a, what do they call it? It's right here, it's a message board, right here. Can't see it up there. Let's change it over. I've got a message board. Where is it? Oh, I know. There we go. Oh, here it is. Ha! Okay, so we'll do this. We'll share this, and then when you go to here, that should, now this one also, we'll have to move it over here like this. Okay, so you see that? That's the message board. There doesn't have a lot of, there's like 30 people on it. Not a lot of messages or anything right now. But that's a place where if you need a place to get in touch with me or want to network some ideas or something like that, that's a place where it can be done.
Poverty International.
You're not on Telegram.
Yes, I am on Telegram.
Yeah, I'm in a group with, you're on Telegram too, and see.
That might have been where you found me.
Yeah, I have a few groups.
Oh, you've got groups on Telegram?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, okay.
A few of them are in. But there's one, Glenfern Sovereignty International.
Right?
I just got on that one.
Okay.
But the one I found you was Lawful America Community. When I found your name.
Oh, okay.
Someone posted it there and said that you did her taxes and stuff like that. And she posted and said, reach out to him.
Okay.
You do
Okay.
taxes?
Well,
You just-
I don't do
To
tax.
I know, but you.
You got me there.
Anyways, okay, so let's do this. I got to reshare the right one here. Yeah, let's. Okay, and then. Congress converted citizenship into the opposite. Remember, I was telling you about this, Nelson, yesterday. Into the opposite of what the founders intended for the purpose of enslaving everybody. This is Colgate versus Harvey, U.S. Supreme Court. And while the 14th Amendment does not create a national citizenship, it has the effect of making that citizenship paramount and dominant instead of derivative and dependent upon state citizenship. So, under the Constitution, Congress converted citizenship into the opposite of what the founders intended. Under the Constitution, there was two classes of citizens from the beginning. It's actually talked about in Article 4 of the Constitution, Article 4, Section 2, I think. But it says something like, the citizen of each state shall be entitled to all the privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. Okay, that's two classes of citizens. State citizens and federal citizens. Citizens in the several states. That's also, its similar language is found in the original 13th Amendment, where it says that, and you see that in places. It'll say something like, under them or either of them. Okay, under them is the federal government, either of them is the state government. See what I'm saying? You'll see that in statutes, especially older ones.
Mhm.
I doubt you're going to see it in anything after 1871, because I think that Congress hasn't had a quorum, and so they haven't been, it's been under them, not either of them. They can't make laws that apply to either of them because they don't have a quorum. And they haven't had a quorum since 1861. And so,
So the states were still making laws, the de jure states.
well, no. The de jure states
themselves.
don't have any laws.
No,
It's
for
common law. The territorial states are making laws. That New Jersey Constitution starts off, we the people of the state of New Jersey. Well, there you go. That's the territory.
Territory.
That's talking about the
Was
territory.
that always the case?
Not always, no.
Like in 1820?
That's why I'd be interested in getting those older certified copies of those older constitutions and see what they say.
Yeah, 1844 will be interesting.
Yeah. They started off right, New Jersey Constitution. See what I'm saying?
But I think it said that we the people of New Jersey.
Yeah, it
The
says that
first
in
one,
in
1776.
Clause 2 of the Constitution. Clause 2 or Article 2 or, I don't know, I didn't see it. I think it's part of the preamble. There's two clauses in the preamble. Second clause says, we the people of the state of New Jersey.
Yes, of the 47 one, so that's where they made it territorial.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a territorial constitution for sure.
But what you claimed yesterday that was a de jure because it talked about it was a de jure constitution.
Well, until I saw it, that was one of the first things I noticed today when I was looking at it.
But it's in italics and it is a preamble. Like maybe it wasn't part of like a line maybe separated it, so it didn't.
It's right here.
It seems to me the 1776.
Right here.
We
We
can't
the
see it.
people of the state of New Jersey.
It's not on the screen. Our screen.
Yeah.
So it's not a de jure constitution then.
It's for and that's consistent because
But
the The Bar Treaty of 1947 was about then. So you were saying that they wrote this Constitution shortly after they did that Bar Treaty.
Okay, but number one, it's in italics. Does that mean anything? And number two, if you go all the way to the end of the Constitution there, it talks about how many years after independence.
I think italics takes it off the page. It's kind of like any other kind of emphasis. It's not on the page.
Wait a minute, so this is it's because it's the time, that the year that is. Because it says Constitution of New Jersey, it doesn't say Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
That's true. I see that, but
Yeah.
but then in the preamble it says we the people of the state of New Jersey.
Yes, but it's A, it's in
Right.
italics.
Yeah.
B, it's a preamble. And then at the end of the document, it refers to how many years since independence, which I found.
I don't know.
Well, Article 1 is talking about rights and privileges. Privileges only
Right.
are only to
De
do
facto.
with de facto.
Right.
Privilege has nothing to do with sovereign peoples.
Right.
Well, it's yeah.
I'm not
Well-
fully convinced about that yet. I hear everybody saying it.
Well,
It's like the son of a king is privileged because he's a prince.
there's some privileges that you're entitled to,
Right. So
but there's
they're
other
called-
privileges that you volunteer for.
I
and
agree.
I
I
think
agree with that.
I,
But the
Right.
things that they note there, like it says rights and privileges, so that's where the in the first two or three it talks
Right.
about work, free exercise of religion.
that's-
So is it a privilege or is it a right?
well, that's a right.
Well, who says?
That's common law.
But, right.
That's common law.
Okay, so
The privileges and under the Carlisle case, right? United States versus Carlisle, they said that everyone not privileged. So Carl might be right too. If any kind of privilege you take advantage of it, you might be able to take it. You might have the right to take advantage of the privilege, but if you do, it operates as a contract. You know, I don't know. I think that gets confusing.
My rights are unalienable.
So where's the? You were saying the.
It's kind of all the way at the end, right there, right, kind of right from there up somewhere, one or two or three up. It talks about the word independence. How many years it was signed, like after so many years of independence, meaning 1776. Was the impression I got. It's probably right there.
Oh, of the independence of the United States of America, the 172nd year
Right.
of the independence.
And that led me to believe that Constitution of New Jersey, they're probably doing both in that same document. They're saying, here's the de jure, and here's the de facto.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure they could do that either legally, lawfully.
Who said it's lawful? The lawful could be the de jure, and then the legal is the de facto.
Yeah, I'm not sure you could mix jurisdictions in the same document. That's what I'm saying.
But somehow they're referring to the independence. Now I can't see that. Does it say the or the United States of America?
It says the lowercase.
The United States of America?
Yeah.
172 years. 172 years. Is that so? That means I bet it's after the Constitution, not the Declaration of Independence. How many years? From 47 back. Let's say independence. Of the independence, 172. 72. So if you go back 47. 47. 72.
That's like, what, 73 years? That's basically as old as Trump. That's when Trump, that was written. 10-year Trump was born. 73.
1775, 1776. So that is referring to the July 4th,
Yeah.
the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
That's why I claim it's both. I mean, or it's really the de jure, Carl, and because de facto is fraud anyway, they're using it as the fraud.
I don't know. I don't know what their thinking would be in doing it.
To smoke screen everybody. How can you pass a real constitution? Because I would never want to refer to the. If it's not a de jure constitution, then a de jure citizen has no. It doesn't even hold the corporation accountable.
Well, no. Well, yeah. Basically, there's again, it comes down to the state of New Jersey and New Jersey State. Under New Jersey State, we the people are the sovereigns, and common law is the rule. But if we don't, it's not up to the de facto corporation to tell us that we need to have common law juries and do justice to people. If we're not doing it, it's they have nothing to say about it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And so that's that's why the Republic of Texas is so powerful, because they got nothing to say about what we do. Matter of fact, we tell them what to do.
But regarding land and utilities, various other things,
Well, with land,
like there's got to be clashes.
there are some, but again, it comes down to they have their system, and they rope you into their system. If you don't volunteer for their system, then you're not in it. In other words, and how do we volunteer? We volunteer by, with land, paying a land transfer tax. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we don't volunteer, then all of a sudden, they can't see us anymore. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to, is either they can see us and we're their property, or they can't see us, because it's like we can't see God either. So we don't have anything to say about God. It's the same thing with the government in relation to us. They can't see us. They can't tell us what to do. It's like we don't exist as far as they're concerned. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I kind of like that,
Like their courts, we're not supposed to be in their courts.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
And so, but how do you tell that to them in such a way that they notice it? You see what I'm saying? That's why I like the protected person under international law, because you're saying even under your international law, you don't have any authority over me, and they'll come after you if you mess with me, And so we'll see. I haven't actually. They kind of leave me alone, but knock on wood. But this is what I'm going to tell them next time they do stop me. So we'll see. That's all I can say. I think that with Trump in power, I think that the police were actually changing over to being more peace officers than, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now with the potential of, I'm hoping that all of this stuff is true. That video we looked at yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
It's been taken down now.
Really?
Yes, but it's available on.
Which
on,
one?
Well, if you want to watch it.
The one with Steve Pachenik?
I just pulled it
Yeah.
up. It was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes, 50, a half
Yeah.
hour.
Where'd you open it up at?
It's been removed.
It's been removed from Yahoo for sure.
And it's not on YouTube either.
It's not on YouTube?
No, I meant on YouTube.
I just
It was
pulled it up.
removed from
From
YouTube.
where? Where'd you
I
see it?
just pulled it up.
I looked at it on my computer before. I opened it
Was
up,
it on
it's no
YouTube?
longer
Yeah.
there.
I just put the search in Google, ran down, clicked it. Now I didn't play it, but it had the front picture and the thing to play it. So I don't know.
From YouTube?
Yes,
Yeah. Well, it may be that somebody else has copied it and
that may
submitted
be.
it
That
somewhere
may
else.
be. So they're
But
duplicating
the initial
original
one that was based
Okay.
on
Right.
Alex Jones.
Right.
I don't know if it was
That's
Alex
been
Jones.
removed.
Right. Okay. Because I just sent it to a friend of mine in California. He had not heard. He only gets his news from the Fox
Oh.
and Rush.
Yeah.
And he couldn't believe when I told him what that was.
Yeah.
So he,
Well, as long as it's the truth.
right. Well, it makes sense.
It does, but
Well, he's got to believe, that's the problem.
I hope it's true.
He's got to believe. Yeah, exactly. I think we'll know within,
it'll be just another one of those things. Hey, don't worry about it. It's taken care of. It'll be fine. And then they come around and everybody's in handcuffs and
Yeah.
leg
Yeah.
bracelets and shit because we didn't stand up and deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through, oh, you can't see what I'm doing here, but,
Well, I guess it also, if they try reporting that Biden, in fact, has, his electoral college, he's got 270 or more. So,
Well, it's funny because Tara showed me before she left that there was something that was reporting that Biden's won.
just recently,
Yeah, just recently, just before she left. I'm not sure where it was.
Yeah.
But again, it could be just one of those, up in your face.
Right.
Somebody else making a statement and it's not actually true.
Mhm.
Because I tended to think that what was said earlier in that post was right on.
Yeah.
That's
what I thought, yeah.
just electoral irregularities and election fraud
Mhm.
is one thing.
Yeah.
And that has its own penalties, but yeah, it's not that really big. But when you usurp the presidency
okay, watch this.
through that,
Yeah.
that's a completely different.
That's right.
This is the video
Oh, yeah.
that somebody sent me.
Exactly.
So yeah,
It was the Wall Street Journal today.
Wow. What?
It's been taken down off of YouTube for sure.
Okay.
We should use that.
For violating YouTube's terms of service.
Yeah.
What a lady. Did you see if it's under maybe Alex Jones?
Well, I've got it, it's on library. You can get it on
Oh,
library.
it's on library.
Yeah. I watched it this morning. I've downloaded it, so if anybody wants that.
I would like
But,
a copy.
sorry?
I would like one.
It's, let's see how big the file is.
It was Steve Pachenik talking about what's going on with the sting operation regarding, Biden and all these.
how many more
Well-
pages of that presentation? are there?
Pachenik.
Sorry?
Is there that many pages of presentation on this?
On this
It
presentation?
was on our Alex Jones show.
I mean, they're announcing
We're
Biden.
about halfway through it.
Huh?
I have a video.
They have to be certified, right?
Um,
By the secretaries of state.
what was I looking
Yes.
for? I was
Has
looking for
anybody
the video.
certified?
The video.
Anybody certified their election yet?
Well, that's it. I don't think anybody has. And that's the problem. To start certifying the elections.
It's actually small enough to email. It's a WEBM file, but you should be able to play it in Windows. Some videos won't play it.
But this is
You
only
have
a
to
minute
convert
and a half.
Okay.
I can convert it for you if you want. But either, but it's a
Like all the interview. Here it is. You said you downloaded the video in full?
yeah, I've got it right here. Yeah, on Windows the movies program. This is it right here.
One is not a
Is that available
What's
online?
happening
It's not
now,
on
the
the
reason
screen.
I couldn't come on the Alex Jones show last night was I was not given the permission that I needed to in order to say what I'm about to say now. I do not work for the federal government. I'm not paid by them. Let me just say again what I said in 2016. There are honorable members of our intelligence, military, and civilian community in the government who understood exactly how corrupt Biden and the Democratic machinery is, was, and will be. This is really a sting operation, contrary to what everybody else said. Trump knew this was happening. Eric knew this was happening and warned the public. I knew this was happening. However, I could not say anything about it. What happened was we watermarked every ballot with what's called the QFS blockchain encryption code. In other words, we know pretty well where every ballot is, where it went, and who has it. So this is not a stolen election. On the contrary, we reversed the entire game of war along the lines of Sons of the Art of War. And Trump was brilliant and still is brilliant at it. The reason he hasn't been seen, and Alex correctly said, oh, I haven't seen him in several days. Well, in the art of the war, you pull back, allow your enemy to make all the mistakes that they are making, manipulate the situation, expose them, and then come in for the final killing. And that's what's happening now. None of this was unexpected. All of this was expected. All of this is part of the sting operation we're running. And let me tell you that 48 hours ago, not only did we put markers on those ballots, but I can say now, with the permission of people in the intelligence community and elsewhere, that we have sent out thousands and thousands of National Guards to 12 different states, Washington, Delaware, Texas, Arizona, Alabama, and everywhere. So now you have to consider and rethink what this is really about. The genius of Trump is that he is able to pull back at any point and manipulate the opponent without the opponent ever realizing. He has said repeatedly, hashtag steal the vote. That's exactly what he has said for months. Then he made a very clear implication. He said, I will use common sense or my intelligence, i.e. both literal and figurative intelligence. And those of us in the intelligence community, be it who they are, again what I said in 2016, when we exposed Hillary Clinton, we now exposed, and it was Trump who initiated this, Biden family. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, Jim Biden, Frank, the whole family was played right into a game where they were convicted, and you're seeing what's happening now. What was not announced was that we watermarked all the ballots with what I said at QFS blockchain, which is a very hard encryption code to break. And the second thing is we sent probably 20,000 or more National Guards 48 hours ago. None of it was reported, and I thank the press for not reporting it and others. So what in fact is happening is you're seeing a sophisticated sting operation that was initiated by Trump. I'm just a lowly peasant in this game, and honestly, I was informed that I could say something about it today only last night. That's why I could not come on.
Well,
this is the reverse of what you guys have been thinking. It's not a civil war. We have not been surprised in any way. This has been set up by Trump for a long, long time. In the same way that we knew about Hillary Clinton, I warned about the coup that we would do a counter coup, and this is our counter coup again against the Bidens. And that's exactly what we expected. The corruption in the mail, the corruption in USPS, the corruption with the Democrats, everywhere and anywhere. There was no surprise here. And that's why we deployed National Guard soldiers to 12 different states.
Well, Steve, you've just broken certainly perhaps the biggest news since the election here on this show. I have to play this out logically in my head. Our arrest.
That's why I go on your show to basically, I keep saying...
Well, I love you, Steve. I'd kiss you on the lips right now if it wasn't digitally.
Yeah.
But,
there's too many people watching it.
We're open like that. We're tolerant. But Steve, following your logic here, I mean, are arrests inevitably coming down the road?
They're coming not just down the road, they're being implemented. What you saw Corey Lewandowski and Pam Biondi saying when they were in Clay County and as well in Philadelphia, that was not just a threat. That was exactly what's going to happen. People will be arrested as of tonight, tomorrow, and it will go on for quite a while. And this was a total sting operation that I can say.
So explain,
Anybody else? And I ask the permission to say it. I do not deal with classified information. As you know, I do not work for our government, but because I'm loyal to the Republic, and I work with a lot of people who are loyal to this Republic, including the 16 intelligence services, the Secret Service, our civilian service, they've all been great, and they've kept it quiet. And I've been given the permission to say what I've just said. I have nothing more to say, but this is not a surprise here. This is the biggest sting operation probably in our country that we've ever had.
well, and it would be the genius of Trump, but Steve, I got to ask you in the last minute 45 here to kind of hone in. So how is this watermark on the ballots, what is the significance of that as to, is it going to stop from fake ballots being counted, or how is that going to be used?
Well, we use it in any way that we need to use it in terms of counting, knowing which ones were fake, which ones were not. It's a very sophisticated code. So if you just throw them away, these are cyber communication implementations that we have the code for. We know exactly what was thrown away. We know exactly what was placed. We know exactly who has it, and we know exactly where it went. I can't go any further than that.
Wow, this is huge news that Steve Pachenik is breaking on our show right now. For me to reiterate, I guess in my own words, President Trump and his administration and friendlies inside the White House in D.C. have launched a sting operation knowing this Democrat fraud was coming. And, you know, Steve, you said Trump's been talking about this for months. Actually, it's really been years. This is from President Trump on October 10th, 2012. He said, "It doesn't matter who you vote for, it matters who is counting the votes," end quote. "Be careful of voter fraud." So he's obviously known about this forever. I mean, is this the genius of Trump playing out? I mean, long term?
Yeah. Trump is far more brilliant than people understood. I knew about Trump. I don't personally work for him, and I don't feel personally.
Well, that's the end of
Now,
it.
can you share this video or share a link to this video on WhatsApp?
I can email it to you, or I can share it on WhatsApp, yeah?
Yeah, I just send it to you if you can do it.
Well, yeah, I should be able to upload it to WhatsApp. I'm pretty sure I can.
I think Fox News has been taken over by the fake media.
Yeah, I
Long
think so
time
too.
ago.
I think so.
Right, because
Reporting
Paul
it.
Ryan is on the board.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, it's crazy
Oh,
what
man.
happened.
I feel like the only one remaining is Tucker. Start asking
Right.
sensible questions. I don't know how much longer, but
Right.
What about Hannity?
Hannity and
Hannity is, I don't like him since 9/11.
what about Laura Ingraham?
It's okay.
Yeah.
But it's really Tucker, and literally last 2-3 months.
Yeah, Tucker's really, yeah.
Something switched,
Yeah.
and he started going after. He
Right.
started asking questions.
Right.
No one else has those questions.
Yeah.
Talk about things that Hannity doesn't touch that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hannity's got way too much money in the bank.
Right. Well, we could have
Okay, I sent it to you.
It's $30 million a year.
Does anybody else want it? Might as well do it now while we're thinking about it.
You sent
Let me
that
see
to
if
me,
I
yes, did you send it to, I haven't been accessing.
You sent it by
Email, I
horse
believe.
carriage or?
It's
Yeah,
coming on WhatsApp.
Did you send that out yesterday to some people, or
I haven't sent this out. It's
Oh,
a
you didn't?
large file. It's
Nope.
like
Yeah.
it's about 19 megabytes,
Oh,
so
really?
it's going to take a while to upload.
Okay.
What?
Just
I
as
didn't
Matter of interest, can you
I haven't
scroll
sent it
back
to you.
to that
Okay.
QFS code?
I still have it linked
Are you
from,
on here?
from Messenger, but
Oh, we do.
I don't know how much.
Well, yeah,
longer.
you'd have to be on here.
Yeah, it's,
How do you-
it's like 8
Did
and a half minutes.
did I send you a link to the WhatsApp group yesterday?
I think you did, but I don't see anything.
It would be to your email.
Oh, let me check that.
Glenn, can you just scroll that back to the picture of the code, the QFS code, the image?
On here?
Yeah, it shows the image.
On here?
Closer
So
to
that
the
the
image.
flag as false
You have to just
information.
scroll it back.
It's this
It
one.
shows a
On
picture
Facebook,
of the
it's already flagged
image at
as
some
false
point.
information.
Which
Yeah,
image?
well, I don't trust those guys, so
Which
I'm gonna
image?
say the fact they took it down
The watermark.
says a lot.
Oh, it's,
It's near at the beginning. And it's only on there briefly, so.
Did they show the watermark?
yeah, they did briefly.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is it looked like 3 crowns.
Happening now, and the reason I couldn't come on the Alex Jones show last night was I was not given the permission that I needed to in order to say what I'm about to say now. I do not work for the federal government. I'm not paid by them. Let me just say again what I said in 2016. There are honorable members of our intelligence, military, and civilian community in the government who understood exactly how corrupt Biden and the Democratic machinery is, was, and will be. This is really a sting operation, contrary to what everybody else said. Trump knew this was happening. Eric knew this was happening and warned the public. I knew this was happening. However, I could not say anything about it. What happened was we watermarked every ballot with what's called the QFS blockchain encryption code. In other words, we know pretty well where every ballot is, where it went, and who has it. So this is not a stolen election.
And
On the
no one knew
contrary,
about this?
we reversed the entire game of war along the lines of Sun Tzu, the art of war. And Trump was brilliant and still is brilliant at it. The reason he hasn't been seen, and Alex correctly said, oh, I haven't seen him in several days. Well, in the art of the war, you pull back, allow your enemy to make all the mistakes that they are making, manipulate the situation, expose them, and then come in for the final killing. And that's what's happening now. None of this was unexpected. All of this was expected. All of this is part of the sting operation we're running. And let me tell you that 48 hours ago, not only did we put markers on those ballots, but I can say now,
Watermark, yeah.
with the permission of people in the intelligence.
Oh.
They just missed it.
And then come in for the final killing. And that's what's happening now. None of this was unexpected. All of this was expected. All of this is part of the sting operation we're running. And let me tell you that.
So it looks like it's a
Can
reverse
you
CNA,
move the
but it
mouse
looks like
over?
it looks like the Three Cities crown.
Just move the mouse over.
Yeah, it does look like a crown for sure.
3 cities, you mean London,
London, New York, and the
Rome.
Vatican.
or,
Right.
or
It's
Washington?
got a cross on the top. Yeah. Looks like a cross in the middle there on top.
Yeah, that's right. I
So
didn't see
CA,
that
what do you
issue.
think CA stands for?
So cross on top,
Yeah.
3 of,
Well, it shows like the you know that the Pope wears or whatever. It's happening a little bit. Many
what's reverse C?
looks like CA like in California.
Looks like the backside of the seal, so the letters look backwards. Otherwise, if it was flipped around,
Yeah.
Well, so reverse would be CA, California?
yeah, could
Yeah.
be CA.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But I don't know if it's California.
It could be,
I don't know.
that's the state,
Are you thinking every state,
maybe.
every ballot's going to states, but a state would be
It might be.
might
Yeah, it might have a
marked
state
with states
identification.
identity.
That makes sense.
when I was filling mine, I didn't use my blue light. Or,
Yeah.
It almost like it may be even an O, AO, or OA.
no, that's CA.
That looks like CA for
I know, but
sure.
it looks almost like,
Looks like it's faded,
look at
right?
it, looks like
Yeah,
it's faded, and
that's
there's
CA.
a little bit there makes it an O. I mean, C would be open more, I think.
It could be an O.
It looks
It
like
could
O.
be.
I think it's OA,
No,
one
you,
of the arrow.
you clearly see that C.
Yeah,
It could be,
It looks a little faded, yeah.
it could be an O, yeah.
could be.
But there's too much of the letter, and just so many faded really, at 9 o'clock there.
I mean, I don't know how clear it can actually be seen with the correct technology.
Yeah,
Okay, who wants this
Right.
file?
I do.
Email address?
BMCG 768.
Okay, Brian McGowan is coming
You
up.
got it, 768.
Who else?
Maria at
Okay.
Self Salon.
I don't think I can open it.
Soul Salon,
Brooklyn.com.
Brooklyn.
Yes,
You need a shorter email.
I do. I was just thinking about that yesterday.
Self, S-E-L-F, Salon, S-A-L-O-N, Brooklyn,
Yes,
all one word.
all one word.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, D Adams at 06 at Gmail.
Adam,
Yeah, D-
I've got you.
Okay, good enough.
Adam Gasberg.
Who else? Adam,
No, you're Adam, he's Adams, the last name,
Yeah.
right?
B-E-R-G, Adam
Yep,
Berg,
yep, yep.
at Gmail?
No. You should have me.
You mean
Adam
like the
Gasberg
Adams family?
4,
The Adams family?
number 4,
Number 4? Yeah, it's not coming up with anything.
at Verizon.net.
A-D-A-M-B-E-R-G.
No, Adam.Berg.
Oh, there we go, that could be a problem.
Remember, that's good.
Yeah, there you go, I got you, Verizon.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. Anybody else?
because through WhatsApp it's not opening.
Well, it'll go to your email address. Anybody else?
I've got the link for a download, so I can download it.
Okay,
Good, thanks, Glenn.
okay. Okay, well, it's gonna be, the subject matter is gonna be Steve Pasniak video about Trump's sting operation. And I'm sending it now.
Oh, that's Kachani.
Paceni.
Paceni.
Pronounced, yeah.
He's a Polak.
He's Polish, isn't he? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay. Okay, so are we done looking at this now then?
Yeah.
Does anybody want that video that I did yesterday with, Biden saying we've got the biggest election fraud organization?
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see that, yeah.
I've got that. I've got
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you know what? Attach it.
I'll pass it around, yeah.
Because I've seen it a few times, but I wasn't able to capture it.
I mean, that was actually him, right? I mean, that was.
I downloaded that, or actually what I did is I have software that I can capture my screen.
The biggest fraud operation.
So I just made a video.
Some
So,
people,
I have,
some people have more nerve than brains.
I have a website here that I've gone to that talks about this particular event.
Yeah.
Just see.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
See, and look at this. If you go here, this was tweeted out by the Trump War Room in the 24th of October. So that just adds a lot of credibility to what Steve Pesniak is saying, where he's known about this forever
Yeah.
and he's planning for it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
This particular website on here that I found, it's Liberty and Justice on Mobile, America Out Loud. AmericaOutloud.com is the website. But it actually talks about the President Trump's June tweets about the election and the fraud, but then it actually goes further down and shows, it shows the pattern for the QFS, the QFS blockchain technology for secure voting system.
Wow. Post office patented that, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
United States Postal Service, and it's AmericaOutloud.com is the actual website.
Okay, well, here's this, we'll play this again.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
What, do you want to play patty cake or something?
This whole history book went on to say that 3 years prior to this, Congress said it was
No, I have an idea. Can you go back to that video?
Yeah,
We have put together, I think, the most
Stop.
you want to stop it?
Start it fresh.
Oh, you're going to record it? Okay,
extensive.
here, let me start it over. I can email this to you too.
It was really good.
Ready?
Go.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Did you read that where they said he made 2 veto evidence?
We have put together,
Does anybody want me to email this to them?
Yeah.
Is that on the same site?
It's on the same
Get
site.
the hell out of there.
You
Right,
guys want it? You don't want
Yeah,
it?
yeah, send it
And
over.
I just scrolled down and it said,
It's just,
They're in there.
like I said, I think it was beyond the outer limits. I mean, I thought we went to the twilight zone, and then we went to, outer limits, and it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's really weird.
I'm in Facebook jail for another 3 weeks.
You know what?
Facebook jail, messenger jail, and shut in.
Really? Cool.
No, it's not cool. I got out from a month in jail, 2 weeks, and they still got me for another month just before election.
For what? You mean for your driving? You mean for
Threw me in another month in jail.
Okay, who wants this video?
Facebook jail.
Facebook jail. Oh, Facebook jail.
Who wants the video?
I'll have it just so I have it.
Nelson
Sure.
Dice.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll send that on to my friend.
yeah, same here.
Okay, who else?
The Brian,
B.
Yeah, MCG.
I got you.
Okay.
Got Adam that bad?
ALAM. Why, it came up last
Notice the
time.
numbers he's got there, text.
ADAM.
So, oh, Adam.
033
Adam that bad.
3699.
The indoctrination
After that,
of
twice that.
the youth and a certain
Gotcha.
Anybody
else?
population was the mistake they were referring to, I think. Because
I got Brian, Nelson, and Adam.
Who else?
Anybody else want this video?
These people
Marie?
You want that, Maria?
It's all about them.
oh,
Did you want this video?
sure. Maria
MARIA
at
at
selfsalonbrooklyn.com.
Self-salon, do they come in there and do their own hair? Or?
okay, and then Carl. Did you want it?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I've seen that number of times already. I don't need it.
You don't want
Okay.
to get it agita, right? Or whatever.
Okay, I'm sending it now.
Wait, because he was saying.
It's called
the
Biden
jobs,
Voter Fraud Operation.
Yeah.
all these jobs. They didn't like that.
They don't care. They're going to get benefits from the government. They don't want jobs. They want to sit at home and get paid.
Okay,
It's the welfare state.
By the way, those so-called checks, I didn't get one, but those checks that they sent out, or whatever.
stimulus checks?
Yeah, was that some type of a way to bring, to basically, I mean, you're on the, you gotta be on the hook for something for that. It's not, they're not just sending that.
I sent mine back.
You did send it back,
Yeah.
okay. Because I heard some people did, and some people wrote a gift type of thing on the back, but I don't know if that makes a difference if you would
I don't
send
think
it.
it makes much difference because the instructions are you mail it to this address. I don't think they look at what you write on it because they'll just scan it and say thank you. I got a thank you letter 2 weeks later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it, I think
Yeah.
Okay, so, back to this.
Thank you were acknowledged.
Congress converted citizenship. This is Colgate versus Harvey. Okay, did you want this one, Nelson?
I wrote it down, but I have the ones that you can just pull them up real quick later. I just got the sites,
Okay.
you know, because it'd take too long.
Yeah. The term resident and citizen of the United States is distinguished from a citizen of one of the several states in that the former is a special class of citizen created by Congress.
Yeah.
Citizenship is a political status and may be defined and privilege limited by Congress. Every taxpayer is assessed a trust having sufficient interest in preventing the abuse of the trust to be recognized in the field of this court's prerogative jurisdiction. Slater's protestations to the effect that he derives no benefit from from the United States government have no bearing on his legal obligations to pay income tax. Unless the defendant can establish that he's not a citizen of the United States, the IRS possesses authority to determine his federal tax liability.
Just as a note there, that word citizen of the United States, I claim at this point it means municipal.
Probably does.
Yeah.
So in other words, he's not talking about a U.S. citizen who owes taxes, it's a citizen of the United States. I don't know if that makes a difference, but down the road, that's...
Oh, U.S. citizen, yeah.
This is, remember, the D.C. Code, an act to establish a code of law for the District of Columbia. That's now United States Code. The legal estate to be the Sestake use. This is located at 31 Stat 1432. Yet still it was found difficult to set bounds to ecclesiastical ingenuity. That's the Roman cult, folks. For when they were driven out of all their former holes, they devised a new method of conveyance by which the lands were granted not to themselves directly, but to nominal fees to the use of the religious houses, thus distinguishing between the possession and the use, and receiving the actual profits while the season of the land remained in the nominal fee, who was held by the courts of equity, that's the Roman cult, then under the direction of the clergy, the Roman cult, to be bound in conscience to account to a Sestake use for the rents and emoluments of the estate. That's taxes. And it is to these inventions that our practitioners are indebted for the introduction of uses and trusts, the foundation of modern conveyancing. And that's taken from Tomlin's Law Dictionary, 1835 edition, volume 2, under the definition of mort main. Now, use is a trust. Use is short for usufruct under Roman law, okay? Usufruct, U-S-U-F-R-U-C-T. This is where it's codified under 15 U.S.C. section 44, definition: a corporation shall be deemed to include any company, trust, so-called Massachusetts trust or association, incorporated or unincorporated, which is organized to carry on business for its own profit or that of its members, and has shares of capital or capital stock or certificates of interest. And then it goes through the same definition again, except it doesn't have shares of capital or capital stock or certificates of interest. Now, the trusts, for those of you who have gone through the trusts that I set up, have shares of certificates of interest. Okay, those are beneficial certificates. And a Sestake trust does not have shares of certificates of certificates of interest. Okay, that's the Sestake trust. It falls under that definition. Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, Article 4, Section 2. So, again, New Jersey territory. The state of New Jersey is property of the United States.
That's a critical thing to point out.
And the fact that they're subject to regulations is evidence of that fact. Banks are international law. Military dictatorship is international law. Uniform Commercial Code is international law. All codes, rules, and regulations is all international law. Forced loans is probably the single most important thing for a military dictatorship. It makes it so the courts presume you cannot pay a debt. It makes everybody into paupers, and paupers have no rights, except what they allow you to have. Gold is the money of kings, silver is the money of gentlemen, barter is the money of peasants, debt is the money of slaves. Federal Reserve was set up under the insurance laws of the United States. Federal Reserve notes are worthless insurance script. Anything purchased with worthless insurance script is the property of the issuer of the script. Taxes are the fee for using the private money system. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. The single most important requirement for a Republican form of government is lawful money. Lawful money is not Federal Reserve notes. Lawful money is not bank notes. Lawful money is not forced loans. Lawful money is not discharged debts. Lawful money is not international law. Lawful money is not Federal Reserve notes. Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. Therefore, non-resistance to tyrants is obedience to Satan. That's Sons of Liberty, taking that from Romans 12 and 21. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Engineer Win. Don't forget to follow me on Steemit at Sovereignty International. Don't forget to like this video. On YouTube, don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. On Steemit, don't forget to vote and make your comments. And there's the front page of my channel. The subscribe button's already been clicked. The bell has not been clicked, and the arrow's pointing at the bell. So what is proclaiming martial law is no law at all, but merely for the sake of public safety and circumstances of great emergency, setting aside all law and acting under military power. And that's U.S. Attorney General's opinion, February 3rd, 1857. That's why they have to pass statutes for common law offenses. That's why all statutes are edicts under martial law, and it talks about it in the Libre Code. We can't even begin to count the number of times judges, lawyers, and statesmen have said there isn't any common law anymore, it's been replaced by statutes. They'd be more truthful if they said there isn't any common law anymore, it's been replaced by martial law. And that's taken from the non-ratification of the 14th Amendment by Judge A.H. Ellett in the case of the Utah Supreme Court in the case Diet versus Turner. There is no common law offenses against the United States, only those acts which Congress has forbidden with penalties for disobedience of its command are crimes. Under Texas law, no act or omission is a crime unless made so by statute. The legislature may create an offense, and in the same enactment provide exceptions to its application. Under a military dictatorship, there's no law, which is why they're required to pass statutes for common law crimes like murder and assault. This creates civil law, which creates democracy. It's mob rule. A democracy is mob rule. Under a military dictatorship, you have a democracy. Democracy is international law. Negotiable instrument law is a subset of Roman law. Mortgages are Roman law. Roman law is international law. And the Bar Treaty of 1947 falls under the United Nations. That's international law. I have exclusive content available on my website and on Patreon. My website has 2 subscription levels, and I accept cryptocurrencies. The basic subscription level is $29.99 a year for the videos only, and $49.99 a year for the videos plus unlimited consultations. But I'm not a liar. Well, I meant an attorney. No, I meant a liar. But I can tell you what I would do under certain circumstances and where to find the forms. The only power that these New World Order Satanists have over us is through fraud and deception, and my agenda is to expose it for all our benefit, but I cannot fight all the battles. There's too many. You have to pick your battles. So if you want to make a donation, buy a subscription as a donation, then it's a modest donation, there's no doubt, but a whole bunch of people chipping in a little bit adds up pretty fast. Some of the videos that I have are Arlington Private Information Share, which is 9 videos by itself. This is all exclusive content: land deed training, estoppel certificates training, foreclosure estoppel certificates training, corporate denial training, toll roads notice and demand training, invoice training, notice of void judgment training, revocation of signature training, third-party witness training, federal habeas corpus training, revocation of voter registration, criminal complaint training. There's actually about 3 videos of that, and probably more. Lawsuit training, other training, depending on if it's something I haven't done or could do. Northeast Private Information Shares will also be there. All forms, files, and other instructions are available for free, linked on my videos and on my website. All exclusive content's available on my website and you can buy a subscription there. And then my Patreon is Sovereignty International. So they've been telling people for decades we're in a democracy. Do you think it's an accident? I'm sick of YouTube and Google censorship. Google has me blocked out of one of my Gmail accounts. I actually have several. And so Engineer Win, which is also the Gmail account that's linked to my YouTube channel, and also my Google group. It's all linked to the engineerwin@gmail.com. I'm locked out of it, so I can't get access. I get the emails, but I cannot go in. Like, people want to join the Google group, I can't accept their, and nobody wants to be a moderator on that group. I got several people that are moderators on the Yahoo group, but nobody wants to do it on the Google group. Anyway, so nobody can approve their membership. Anyways, over the next few months, I'm moving away from YouTube and Google. I've already dumped Chrome for Brave. I've got Brave on this computer. I've also got Chrome on it, but that's only because some of the bookmarks I've kept. I don't want to, because of some. Once I get it all straightened away, I'll just delete Chrome right off this computer. I moved my videos to Library, and Library is, and so all of the videos from last weekend have been uploaded to Library. And so there's an invite link right there where you can subscribe to me on Library, and all of my videos from last week are on Library, so if you want to watch them, they're on Library. And then I got my Trump book that's available now. I just published the book. It's available on Amazon and on my website. Amazon does not provide autographed books. I do. If you want an autographed, I certainly prefer you buy it from me off my website. But, you know, it's up to you. I can't force you to do anything. And so if you buy it from me, I'll autograph it. So you'll have an autographed book. My website goes to PayPal. If you want to pay by another method, contact me privately at engineerwin@yahoo.com. And my website is sovereigntyinternational.fyi. I can also do cryptocurrencies. I can also do Cash App. Also, a free way of doing it is with Zelle through your bank. And so, and that's actually, PayPal always charges somebody a fee.
Right.
And so, if you want to do it through Zelle, through your bank, that's free. Send me an email about where you want the book sent.
Which email is tied to the Zelle account?
Well, you can, winfern@gmail.com is the one that I have access to, that's tied to the Zelle account.
And ZEL or ZELL?
ZELLE.
Oh, ZELLE.
Here, I can show you. It's. I have a Bank of America account, and when I. Yeah, no, yeah, it's right there. I don't even have to log in. See, there it is right there. They're advertising it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right. So I don't know what bank you have, but there's a bunch of banks that have Zelle, like Chase. Chase has Zelle. Wells Fargo, the big ones.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they all have Zelle, but I know that I'm pretty sure Chase does. Anyways, so you can it's free too. That's the nice thing about it.
Yeah.
Is it's free. And so That's what I like about it, where if you go PayPal, they charge you a fee.
Well, somewhere along the line, yeah, exactly. Getting your information or something.
Okay, so, do you want to know the origins of the deep state, who's behind it? You want to know why it's called the Trump administration? You want to know what an administration is? It's an ecclesiastical office. You want to know how Trump came to be president? You want to know who owns Congress? You want to know why they're called law enforcement officers? It's because they're enforcing the military dictatorship. You want to know how you have become a slave. You want to know the root cause of the War of Independence. It's the same thing that's going on right now. And why every president goes to visit the Pope on their first international trip. They're going to see the owner.
You always got, right, exactly.
They're going to see the owner.
Yeah,
Well, plus, its administrator is an ecclesiastical office, and so they have to go and get appointed to be the administrator. Have you seen pictures of the Pope? There's pictures. I have to show it to you.
Well, did you notice when they had, when H.W. was laid out there with his wrinkled flag? And,
Yeah.
right, he was, and no, in, what was he at the cathedral in Washington? Well, obviously, and both sides, both parties were there. They made sure they were there because they basically, you know, because it was obviously a Catholic church. I'm not sure what the name was. What's the name of that one in the cathedral in Washington, where they always get together, or they go to when there's some kind of a National Cathedral. That's it, right?
I think it's Episcopalian.
Really? Okay.
I think. I could be wrong.
But they all seem to show up, is what I'm saying, you know. Buttons wear and, you know.
Well, I know that Pope didn't look very happy after Trump's visit.
No, yeah, you saw that picture?
Game's over. Yeah,
I'm looking for that picture right
Game
now.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was big time pissed.
Right. The jig is up. I think he presented them with papers about this
Between
thing.
Pope being pissed,
Yeah.
Queen walking in a shadow of Trump behind him, which never happened.
Right.
As far as I know history, no one would walk in front of royal.
Angela Merkel, son of...
Oh, forget
son of
Angela
Ada,
Merkel, she's
son
a
of
bad
daughter of
woman.
Ada,
But when I saw Trump walking in front of Queen, I told my wife, it's done, it's over.
Right.
No one ever walked in front of Queen.
Yeah, that is very significant.
Oh,
for
I
sure.
know this. He did it purposely. You know,
Yeah.
he made it very clear. Right. She's like a little girl back.
It was like, hey grandma, hurry up,
Yeah,
try to
right.
keep up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've got a picture of that I put in my book. I'm just trying to figure out which one it is.
I don't know what to say. He trusts them all.
I don't get that part. Those pictures in a book?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. There it is. I'll open it up and I'll move it over. It's a picture with Trump and Obama. And with Trump, the Pope is pissed. With Obama, they're laughing and chuckling
Right,
and all this
yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff.
right.
Eh? And the caption underneath is "Justice is coming."
Yeah.
Yeah, that moment, that's priceless.
That is priceless.
That's perfect. That's worth more than 1,000 words.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. In other words, he has. It's funny.
Okay. How do I get it out of here?
Actually, keep it just for a second. Let me stop. You don't like. This is priceless.
Yeah, it is priceless.
I mean, I saw both pictures, just never together.
A little. second picture, looks like he's getting ready to go to jail.
The media is fighting, but something is definitely taking place. I just wish I start seeing some, midday hangings going,
Well, yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
I think they'll do it very quietly.
high noon shootings
Right.
going, whatever.
Oh, it's supposed to be hanged,
See, I don't want this to be quiet. I want this to be loud so the entire
Yeah,
world
but
could see it.
I would
What's
think for
happening.
the election, I think they do it quietly so people don't lose confidence in the system overall.
I wouldn't lose confidence.
I think
I would
half of
support
us
it.
wouldn't.
I
The
would
other half
absolutely
would. They'd have
support
it
it.
slowed.
I think it's being videotaped wherever it is, if it's going on, like in Guantanamo, and they're gonna play it Springfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep moving here. Whereas taxation, this is 2 years after the Declaration of Independence, 1778. Whereas taxation by the Parliament of Great Britain for the purposes of raising a revenue in His Majesty's colonies, provinces, and plantations in North America has been found by great experience to occasion great uneasiness and disorders. Well, no joke, Batman.
Yeah.
And so then now you think that's what the War of Independence was about. It was about taxation. They were trying to raise a revenue. And it was basically because of a bankruptcy. That from and after the passing of this act, the King and Parliament of Great Britain will not impose any duty, tax, or assessment, whatever, payable in any of the colonies, provinces, or plantations in North America or the West Indies, except only such duties that may be expedient to impose for the regulation of commerce. So, anyways, 2 years, 1778. Taxes caused the War of Independence. If they can tax you, then you are their slave, okay? Because they're forcing you to work for them for nothing. It's becoming more and more difficult to be free. This is McCullough versus Maryland. The subject is a slave. Taxation is forced work for nothing. All subjects over which the sovereign power of the state extends are objects of taxation, but those over which it does not extend are exempt from taxation. This proposition may be pronounced as self-evident. It's obvious. The sovereignty of the state extends to everything which exists by its authority or its permission. That's McCullough versus Maryland, U.S. Supreme Court, 1819. Tax is an impost, a tribute imposed on the subject, an excise, a tallage, a public law. Taxation signifies a system for raising money for public services by compelling the payment by individuals of sums of money called taxes. Some general principles of taxation have been said to be, number one, the subjects of every state. Well, that goes back to that McCullough versus Maryland, right?
Yeah,
All subjects over which the sovereign power extend.
Yeah. If we're not in the system any longer, we're American nationals or whatever, there's a way, because like sales tax, all right, some states don't have sales tax, like Delaware or New Hampshire, whatever, but like New York has got, depending on what,
8.25.
yeah, or better, close to 8 3/4. It's high, depending on what part of the state.
Well, any kind of taxes, technically, the tax is for commercial, okay? Sales tax is probably more because you're using Federal Reserve notes. See what I'm saying?
Okay,
So sales tax is probably more lawful than the income tax, because
Well,
income
definitely.
tax, again, income, if you look it up, income is defined as corporate profits.
Corporate
It's all for
profits,
corporations.
exactly.
And so, once you understand that,
Right. If you have earnings, you're not supposed to be, that's
actually it's compensation for labor. You call it compensation for labor. That's
That's what I get.
that's called the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Declaration of Independence, is the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is getting compensation for labor. That's what the courts have said.
Yeah.
And so that's what you want to call it. This is my compensation for labor. And even in I think it's Title 15, United States Code, Section 17, I think, it says that labor cannot be taxed.
Right, exactly. I tried explaining to my dad one time, I said, well, you're concerned about sales tax going down and saving 10% for cash type of thing, and they gave you a discount to pay years ago.
Yeah,
But didn't seem to be too concerned about, quote, income tax, you know what I mean?
right,
And that's really what you should be concerned about, just like property taxes, because these are the big taxes.
right.
Right. If you don't have a mortgage.
Again,
Yeah,
again, it's commercial. It's all got
Right.
to do with commerce
Right.
and commercial.
Mhm.
Now, and this is what I was talking about here, the subjects of every state, okay, if you're a subject, you're a slave. All subjects over which the sovereign power of a state extends are objects of taxation.
Now, could subjects there not mean people, but objects like Coke and
Whatever,
drugs?
the subject is anything, and it's never people. It's never ever people.
Okay, so the subject there is never people. It's always
But
Subject anywhere.
persons are.
Subject anywhere.
Persons.
If you were a subject, you were a thing.
yeah, exactly.
You're not a man, you're a thing.
But the all caps corporate entity would be a
thing.
subject.
It's a Sesticate
That's a
Trust.
thing.
It's a thing again.
The thing again, right?
It's a Sesticate Trust.
In the Treaty of Peace, the king refers to his subjects.
Right, right. But it also talks about the inhabitants in the United States.
Right.
Subjects of every state ought to contribute to the support of the government as nearly as possible in proportion to their respective abilities. So the way you become a subject is by a contract. It comes back to privileges. Remember the Supreme Court case, Carlisle versus United States. Everyone not privileged, it says all persons and things, everything not privileged is sovereign. It's only when you take advantage of the privilege. Subjects of every state ought to contribute to the support of the government as nearly as possible in proportion to their respective abilities, that is, in proportion to the revenue which they respectively enjoy under the protection of the state. In the observation or neglect of this maxim consists what is called the equality or inequality of taxation. So, again, so that's why they use all of these communist rules, so that it depends on how much you make, and it depends on how much you're promoting their political agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they use the tax code to promote their political agenda.
Right.
That's the Dictionary of English Law. There's two ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by sword, the other is by debt. When acting to enforce a statute and its subsequent amendments to the present date, the judge of municipal court is acting as an administrative officer and not in a judicial capacity. There's no judges. There's no Article 3 judges. Courts administering or enforcing statutes do not act judicially, but merely ministerially, but merely act as an extension, as an agent for the involved agency, but only in a ministerial and not in a judicial discretionary capacity. In other words, they're doing what they're told. The prosecutor is the enemy. He's the one you have to go after. The judge is just doing what the prosecutor tells him. You watch him up there. You know, you bring up an issue, the judge looks at the prosecutor says no. The judge is doing what the prosecutor says. What were you going to say?
Isn't Supreme Court still Article 3 court?
Well, they have bar members, so it's hard to say. And the Supreme Court, if you read in the D.C. Code, in the District of Columbia, there's a Supreme Court. So how do you know that they're not the Supreme Court of the District of Columbia? It's all determined on the arguments, on the issues that you're presenting, and the arguments that you're making.
Isn't a real Supreme Court actually?
Amy Barrett,
Philadelphia.
did she just join Article 3 Supreme Court?
Who knows? She could have.
No,
I mean, she's on the Supreme Court, but the issue is the Supreme Court, like any court, can wear a lot of different hats. And so there's a Supreme Court of the District of Columbia. If you read in the D.C. Code, it talks about the Supreme Court of the District of Columbia. And so there is a Supreme Court of the District of Columbia. And so...
And every state has Supreme Court.
And that's why the Supreme Court tells the jails gives them criteria on how they're supposed to treat the prisoners and all of that stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all coming from the Supreme Court. Roberts is the guy that makes those kinds of decisions. And so there's a bunch of stuff that, people don't realize. So it depends on what arguments, what the issues are, what your arguments are, who you are, all the rest of it when you're going in there. And if you don't make the right arguments, then then you'll be able to see in their ruling, because they'll be talking about commercial activity or something like that. Or if you're the king, like there's a guy, Robert Fox. I talked to him a few times. He's passed away now, but there's a Supreme Court case that he was responsible for, U.S. versus Fox. And that's where it talks about we the people in there, because he was bringing up those kinds of issues. See what I'm saying? Talking about sovereign immunity, about the people being sovereign. U.S. versus Fox. Anyways, but so there is a Supreme Court of the District of Columbia. It depends on the issues that you're presenting to them. It will determine which
hat will they wear?
That's right. That's right. It's an accepted rule not only in state courts but in the federal courts as well that judges enforcing administrative law, they're mere extensions of the administrative agency for superior reviewing purposes as a ministerial court for an agency. Judges who become involved in enforcement of mere statutes, civil or criminal in nature, and otherwise act as mere clerks for the involved agency they're bought and paid for. They're doing what they're told.
And is that why, for example, they can never establish a jurisdiction
That's why.
over a sovereign?
That's true. You have to give it to them.
Right.
And that's why that it's a kangaroo court. It's a bill of attainder. Remember I told you that all statutes, all of these, it's all bills of attainder. It's all bills of attainder because they're not going to give you a judicial court. And so it's a bill of attainder. That's what a bill of attainder is where you're not given a judicial court. Well, there's no such thing as an Article 3 judge. Ministerial officers are incompetent to receive grants of judicial power from the legislature. Their acts in attempting to exercise such powers are necessarily nullities. That's why the judge, remember, he's working for, of course, trespass is a common law crime, but it's a state statute, that they're dealing with. So that's still ministerial, any way you want to look at it.
Again, that's why they could do nothing to me without really doing a real crime.
That's right. That's right.
Because basically they had no teeth at all.
You got them where it hurts, and that's the reason they're basically diving for cover now, and it's not even on the same issue, but it doesn't matter. All you have to do is let them know that you're not going to roll over, and they get the message pretty quick, and they run away and hide.
Right. Well, chase is what I'm now doing. I'm chasing them.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
used to chase me.
Right.
Where there is no jurisdiction, there is no judge. The proceeding is as nothing. Such has been the day from the law from the days of Marshall saith. So, and also in reference to this first one, ministerial officers are incompetent to receive grants of judicial power from the legislature. Their acts in attempting to exercise such powers are nullities. So the warrant, they were attempting to exercise the power of a real judge by issuing that so-called warrant.
They have two different judges' names, and neither
and
of
it's
them
and it's a nullity. It's a fraud and a nullity. And so I would file a notice of void judgment into that case, and here's why.
Before or after the claim for damage?
Well, the claim for damage is a separate issue. You could make the argument that criminal complaint is void on its face because they weren't operating as judges, they were administrators. And so then they cannot use that case right there as justification.
Well, at this point, I don't think anything's necessary because they basically surrendered.
I think they have. And so now it's just a matter of getting the point across that you got to give me some Federal Reserve notes, or I'm not gonna go away till you give me some Federal Reserve notes.
Right.
And I'd prefer gold or silver coin, but I'll take the Federal Reserve notes. You know what I mean?
Then buy some silver and gold.
Judge wears a military uniform. Judge sits there and plays stupid. If you fail to follow some obscure rule or procedure, they sell you into slavery. Everything they do is a fraud and a nullity.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Judge works for the state. Prosecutor works for the state. Police or witness works for the state. The vast majority of the disputes that the police initiate on behalf of their employer are also adjudicated by their employer, where the plaintiff, the judge, the antagonist, the police, and the only witness, also the police, all represent the same party. And since no corpus delicti, mens rea, or acts reus can be produced, doesn't technically qualify to be heard according to its own laws. The state, therefore, is indistinguishable from a criminal cartel.
Cop looks like he's a teenager.
Probably is.
There's a sequence you can go through in court just to prove how stupid that whole situation is. It's Mark Stevens, if you've heard of him, the No State Project. And he has gotten to a script where he can go into court and he literally just approaches or speaks directly to the judge and says, I'm here to deal with that matter, but I need to just ask you some questions first to make sure everything's, if I'm in the right place and everything's above board. And he says, I understand the conflict of interest. If there was evidence of a conflict of interest, that I couldn't have a fair hearing. Is that right? The judge would usually say, well, yeah, a conflict of interest. No, that you can't proceed with that. So, okay, I understand. So if there's a conflict of interest, then this case can't proceed. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, well, who do you work for?
Yeah, right.
And then who, actually you could start the other way around. He said, the cop over there, who does he work for? The best way to start with him. It's the city normally.
Right.
The prosecutor, who does he work for? The city or the state, depending which court you're in, I guess.
Right.
And the last one approached the judge directly. Who do you work for?
Yeah.
Because he works for the city and the state too.
Right.
All three of them work for the same. It's a conflict of interest.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And you just pointed it out in court.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't answer that question, but as Mark Stevens has mentioned in the past, what typically happens is the prosecutor jumps up and says, Your Honour, we don't have all the necessary paperwork to proceed on this matter today.
Right.
Yeah.
How can they sleep?
I
They're
missed
criminals.
that.
They work for state.
They're thieves.
Yeah.
That's called the no state.
Because I know Mark Stevens
No state
usually
project.
goes on territorial.
But in fact and in law, such statutes are intended to be applied to those who are here as residents in the state, remember the territorial jurisdiction who we're talking about, under the Interstate Commerce Clause of the Federal Constitution and the so-called 14th Amendment. And that's U.S. Supreme Court, United States versus United Mine Workers of America.
How can they say it's in law?
Well, the truth of the matter is, basically, is what they're saying.
Okay.
This is the 13th Amendment, the current so-called 13th Amendment. Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude is set as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. And so, they just put on a kangaroo court and sell you into slavery. He, the prisoner, has, as a consequence of his crime, not only forfeited his liberty, but all his personal rights, except those which the law in its humanity affords him. He is, for the time being, a slave of the state. So it's all about slavery. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, and selleth him, then that thief shall die. Thou shalt put evil away from among you. And so that's Deuteronomy 24:7. This is all satanic. It really is. The Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2, is the supreme law of the land. I think we covered that already. We can have a benevolent dictator or a tyrant dictator. Obama was a textbook tyrant. Pelosi gets up and tells the House we can't read the bill until after we approve it. That's because it's the tyrant, it's the dictatorship, it's the Roman cult. And then Lindsey Williams said that when the elite told him, I don't know, if I told you about Lindsey Williams? Does everybody know who Williams?
Yeah.
I think I told
He
you
was
about
a fellow that went up to, was it Canada? Yeah.
Right. He said the elite told him that when Trump got elected, that their plans were on hold, that God intervened. They said God intervened, is what they said. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who would pervert the Constitution. And that's what Trump is trying to do, to get it all sorted out. And they're just sabotaging them every way they can. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the losers. And actually, I think I am going to play a video right now. Let's see if I can find it. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I'll play it.
Has anyone ever seen Carl Lentz on YouTube? Carl Lentz?
Oh, yeah.
I know who he is.
Hours.
Right, I was wondering how, I tried contacting him, I didn't have much success with it.
That's
He was from
nice.
New York originally, then he went to Virginia, I think. So, yeah.
And his mother used to work for IRS.
IRS, exactly.
I mean, he's sharp. When he gets going.
Yeah. Right. I know. I know it's,
Yeah, I'm all over that. Mark Stevens, but I missed that episode.
Which?
With Mark Stevens. Because
Oh,
he used to go on territorial jurisdiction, like what makes me being, what do you claim? He always said in jurisdiction.
Yeah, it's challenging
Over a
jurisdiction.
territorial.
Yeah.
right.
But they started out originally with that concept. Simply that a conflict of interest in any kind of court proceeding it makes the whole proceeding a nullity. And the basis for those questions was just to point out right in the middle of open court how stupid this whole thing is, because it is an obvious conflict of interest.
Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I have a clip here of Nancy Pelosi that you just got to see. I'm making sure that it's put in one of these videos in case C-SPAN decides to scrub it or something, which they might. This is a very interesting little clip. Nancy Pelosi, once again, the gift that keeps giving to us Republicans, has given us the Democrat playbook right here. She tells us one of their tactics, what they do, how they like to smear everyone. So, pay attention, here it goes.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
See what he did?
Yeah. This is as good as hearing Biden saying they created the biggest
that's right.
fraud.
That's right.
I like to see both of these being broadcast, so people can really know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your so-called leader, right?
Yeah.
Take me through your leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What she was describing there was the whole Russia document.
The hoax, the Russia collusion hoax.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was to smear Trump.
Absolutely.
And actually, they got evidence into play there. So it wasn't just merchandising in the public eye and in the media. What they ended up doing is getting it published in the media,
right,
feeding it to one source of intelligence, and when it got published by the media, because that first source of intelligence leaked it,
right,
the other source of intelligence, who also received it,
right,
then said, oh, the media are reporting it now, and it's come from this other. So now they can double jeopardy type thing.
When the debate is lost, when they don't have anything valid to contribute, then they just start lying.
Yeah. They blame you what they're guilty of, like Hillary Clinton. Well, I don't want that. That's what they do.
Projection.
Projection, right, exactly. or Biden, same thing. He's the one who collected.
Racist, someone who wins an argument against a liberal. Tyranny is defined as that which is legal for the government but illegal for the citizenry. A republic is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. And that's true. And I've got another video about secret warfare. We're going to have to decide what we want to go through because we got just tomorrow. We're overtime now.
Yeah.
So we got just tomorrow, and so we'll have to decide. We'll do that tomorrow morning. What we want to go through. We're not going to be able to get through everything. Anyways, a republic is the only form of government that is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. And Jefferson, a brilliant guy. What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers aren't warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. So that's why they wanted us the right to keep and bear arms as the final check and balance against tyranny and government.
Right.
The Constitution is not a document for the government to restrain the people. It is an instrument for the people to restrain the government. Today it is the unborn child. Tomorrow it's likely to be the elderly or those who are incurably ill, or maybe it's the Jews. Yeah. Those who, but who knows, but that a little later it may be anyone who has a political or moral views that do not fit into the distorted new order. It's not murder. Jews aren't actually people. It's not murder. Babies aren't actually people. That's right there. That says it right there.
That's right.
Child sacrifice in 1515 it was done on these, and today it's done by Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
A nation of sheep will beget a government of wolves. If fascism ever comes to America, it will come in the name of liberalism.
I remember those words.
All executive orders or regulations for property, slaves of the government, therefore color of law. Color of law is something that looks like law but isn't. It's a felony to violate your rights under the color of law. They can violate your rights as long as they can claim good faith. And then you tell them that it's a felony and have witnesses, and then you can file a criminal complaint against them. But the bottom line is that it's all international law. America needs God. Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. Thou shalt have no gods before me. The New World Order will require that you worship government. That's what's going on in China right now with the Falun Gong. They're doing their organ harvesting programs. The greatest tyrannies are always perpetrated in the name of the most noblest causes. Remember, the first guy they put in jail for tax evasion was Al Capone, a real bad guy that nobody liked. And now they put everybody, all sorts of people in jail.
Yeah, but they put him in there because of he wasn't paying the tax from the ATF. You don't want to mess with ATF agents.
Whatever.
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's how they got him. They got him
That wouldn't surprise
didn't pay the taxes on the alcohol. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually income tax.
Yeah.
People
yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it was the tax on the ATF.
On the alcohol, which is legitimate tax.
It's under the tax code.
Right.
The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is as a last resort to protect themselves against tyranny and government. So rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. I think we're starting to get unplugged, but we're still not completely unplugged yet. Wondering why Antifa seems so familiar? Under the Nazis, they hate individualism, they hate free speech, they hate free markets, they hate elections, and approve violence. The communists hate individualism, hate free speech, hate free markets, hate elections, and approve violence. Antifa hates individualism, hates free speech, hates free markets, hates elections, and approves violence. So,
well, we're missing CCP sign there.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There's no difference between communism and socialism except the means of achieving the ultimate end. Communism proposes to enslave men by force. Socialism is by vote. It's merely the difference between murder and suicide.
Yeah.
Really, it's the truth. It's the duty of the patriot to protect his country from its government. Sad will be the day when the American people forget their traditions and their history and no longer remember the country they love, the institutions they cherish, and the freedom they hope to preserve. We're born from the throes of armed resistance to tyranny and nursed in the rugged arms of fearless men.
That's already scrapped from history books. History lessons.
Anyways, so it's all international law. They're assaulting you with international law, and you can be a foreign government. The New Jersey state is foreign to the state of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey is in the District of Columbia, and New Jersey state is the sovereign state under the definitive treaty of peace that's talked about in the definitive treaty of peace. So again, so I think anybody can use this argument. Certainly we're using it in the Republic of Texas, but we could all start up our own, you know, have our own. It's like there's other people that have proposed this. I think drill assemblies is a start, but I think that we should have a New Jersey legislature of New Jersey State, a People's Committee or something like that. You see what I'm saying? And start your own Congress of New Jersey State or something like that. You know, in Texas we have Congress, and so in Texas every county has a member in Congress. And then the senates are there's less senators in Texas. There's there's a bunch of counties in Texas. Counties aren't very big, so I guess every county is considered sovereign because Congress has to do with sovereigns, and so that's why the word Congress. If you look up the definition, it'll be for a group of sovereigns where there's, you know, each state has a sovereign representative, and that's what Congress is the meeting where they meet, so anyways, the term foreign government is used in this title. It includes any government, faction, or body of insurgents within a country with which the United States is at peace, irrespective of recognition by the United States. So again, we don't want to be at war. If we go to war with the United States, I think we're going to lose. The best thing to do is be completely peaceful. I think Christ said it so well. He says, "Be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove." And that's really what it comes down to: is be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. So that's the purpose of what I try to do, is educate people about this stuff. So this actually talks about 1201. And so 1201 is talking, it says the person, the underlying part of the bot is a foreign official, international protected person, or official guest, defined by 1116B of this title. So 1201, this 1201 refers to 1116B. This also by itself refers to 1116B, but I just want to eliminate any confusion that might be. And then this is 878. Right, which is the other section that is talking about. 878 at the bottom says that the definitions are found in 1116B. And so, and then this one's 970. That's the other one. 970 at the bottom says the definitions are found in 1116B. And so, the important thing, I think, is 1116. This is 112. This is the crimes. Okay, this is assaults. Whoever assaults, these are the actual felonies that people can do against a protected, internationally protected person or a foreign official. And so, whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, imprisons. Okay, that imprisons. That sounds like you know, your local highway patrol here. Yeah. And so, whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, imprisons, or offers violence to a foreign official or official guest or internationally protected person, or makes any other violent attack upon the person or liberty of such person, or if likely to endanger his person or liberty, makes a violent attack upon his official premises, private accommodation, or means of transport. So that means your vehicle. Or attempts to commit any of the foregoing shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. And whoever in the commission of any such act uses a deadly or dangerous weapon, okay, so they put their hand on it and they're using it. That's an assault, but that's also another felony under Title 18 United States Code, Section 112. And then this same section goes on and it talks about whoever intimidates, okay? So just the fact that they're talking to you, that's intimidating. Coerces, threatens, they're threatening. You know, the fact they're putting their hand on their gun, that's a threat. Harasses a foreign official. Okay, now this part is only for foreign officials. And so some may or may not be qualified for that. I would say that anybody who is a member of the sovereignty would still qualify as a foreign official. Or a foreign government, you'd qualify as the foreign government, since we the people are sovereign in New Jersey State. You see what I'm saying? And so, and again, this also takes you to 116B, okay? For purposes of this section, at the bottom it says, for purposes of this section, foreign government, foreign official, internationally protected person. Those are the ones that we're particularly interested. We're not interested in national of the United States or international organization. Shall have the same meaning as those in 116B. And so then if you go to 116B, it says that a foreign official has to be a chief of state, political equivalent, president, vice president. It's got to be someone that's like, but a chief of state, okay, chief of state. If you're a government of the people, by the people, for the people, then I am one of the chiefs of state. There's a whole bunch of us. Really, you know, you could certainly. There's a whole bunch of us. I'm one of the people, and so you could be considered a foreign official. And so also internationally protected person, you could definitely be considered an internationally protected person. Under B, under internationally protected person is any other representative, officer, employee, or agent of a foreign government. Okay, so again, you know, it depends on where you want to place your arguments. I would tell them that I would just say that I'm a protected person under international law, and here's my ID card, and here's what I did is I prepared this. This is actually something that was prepared by the Republic of Texas, and so this is actually a Supreme Court of Texas ruling that said that the Supreme Court didn't have jurisdiction over the people. And then 18 U.S.C. Section 11, 18 U.S.C. Section 112, and then the definition of foreign in the back. That's it. This is what I have to give to the cops if they stop me. And my ID card, my Republic of Texas ID card. So, anyways, that's about the end of this presentation. Has anybody got any questions? I think that we all need to, this is a good reason why we all need to be convening our General Assemblies and be convening our, getting together and organizing and convening our General Assemblies and setting up, establishing our de jure governments. Really, that's what it is. So that's internationally protected person. And that's it for today. It's at 6. It's 6 o'clock.
7.
Is it 7?
No, it's 6.
I got 6. But still, we were only supposed to go till 5, so we definitely went over.
Still 1 hour.
Does anybody have any questions?
In setback.
I haven't unwind that.